Get the Krueger show rolling after Warrior basketball. Hope everybody's having a good night. The Warriors had an exciting game tonight against OKC. Golden State 33-8 at home. Their most home win since 2017. They were down at halftime. They did not play a stitch of defense in the first half. They gave up 79 points to the Thunder. But, man, second half, totally different story. The defense came alive in the fourth. Poole got hot in the fourth. He had 18, and the Warriors come back. They don't just win it. They win it going away. And the Thunder pulled their players off the floor, their starters off the floor at the end. That was kind of a bizarre move by their head coach. But Golden State, 42-38, their 33rd home win. And just a very fun game to watch. The Thunder have a bright future, but man, Golden State wins at 136-125, and they move into the 5 seed. I don't know if they want to be in the 5 seed, but they move into the 5 seed. What did you think of the game?
I think you would articulate it very, very well. The first half was just, if you're a Warrior fan, if you're like, what's going on? Because OKC is a good shooting team. But the defense, I thought, was just horrendous. But they didn't appear to be out of sorts. That's the interesting thing about the Warriors. They came back in the second half, and they clearly were exerting more energy on defense. OKC missed some shots, but this ability to turn it on when they have to really speaks to their championship medal. Stephen Curry is just amazing to me. Whenever you think maybe he's getting a little older, he's not as healthy, he comes out with a performance like he had tonight. And Jordan Poole, this is the 8th out of 10th game that he's played really, really well. He appeared to be more comfortable playing with Steph, exerting himself on the offensive end. GP2's defense, I thought, down the stretch was a key factor. And if you think the Warriors have a chance to win the championship, tonight was a good example why.
Stephen A. Smith does. I don't know if you saw his take today. He says the Warriors can go to the finals with Wiggins. And, it's starting to come together for Golden State. The one move in the offseason I really didn't love was I didn't love letting GP2 get away. Because to me, he was a difference maker, a totally dominating on-the-ball defender. But then, I guess I was somewhat appeased and didn't bitch about it as much as I should have early on because I really liked the addition of DiVincenzo. And then DiVincenzo tonight was the best guy on the team. He was plus 28. He played 32 minutes. He had 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. He had a block. He only turned it over twice. He had the best plus minus of anybody. Now they've got GP2 back. And you've got DiVincenzo still sitting there. Are they better than they were last year? They might be. They might be better than they were last year. I don't know. What do you think? DiVincenzo, Kerr said it. He said he can play with any combination of players. He's kind of like he's their jack of all trades. It's funny. It's like you put him on a good team and you see how great of a nightly contribution he makes. You put him on a bad team and he just blends in, doesn't really do much, doesn't really give you much. But on a good team, man, he really knows how to play the game. If you got a bunch of guys who also know how to play the game, he's going to be able to set them up. And now they've got GP2 and they have DiVincenzo. And are they better than they were last year?
I think from a personnel standpoint, at this point in the season, they're building towards being a better team than they was last year. But the thing I always focus on, the Western Conference is better. So they're not playing against the same teams that they were playing against last year. You got Sac, who is a very formidable team. As I said before, if the Denver Nuggets don't make the Western Conference Finals, I think they might shake that thing up. The Lakers are clearly a factor. You got KD out here on the Phoenix Suns. So the Warriors might be better, but I think that their journey towards winning a title is probably tougher. So you know what? It's really going to be interesting because I think that they have what it takes. But again, there's so many more formidable teams than there were last year.
Sai's going to join us in a bit. We're of course brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. 2 locations. They're in Emeryville, open Wednesday through Sunday. They're in Corte Madera, open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Check out Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We got this one from Smile God Loves Sue 77. He says, freaking Anthony Lamb, 12 minutes minus 11. I'm fine with this bum. Now people are calling him a bum. The awful announcing has now gravitated towards the Lamb story. Did you see how that's kind of been thrown around on Twitter and on social media here in the last 24 hours? It sounds like there's a lot of people starting to dial up a lot of hate in the Warriors' direction for their handling of Lamb, them allowing Lamb to play when he's got these serious charges pending. This is 2023. I'm shocked that in a market like this, like the Bay Area, that's so progressive, so forward thinking, that there could be I'll just call it a loose end, because in reality, we don't know about innocence or guilt. I'm not going to presume innocence or guilt. I'm not getting into the details of what he's being accused of and so on and so forth. But I do find it interesting that in this era where everybody is so very concerned about their image and everything connected, damage control and risk management, and in this world where everything's so corporate and everybody's worried about taking any risks at all, they've been allowed to just put this guy out there night after night after night, despite the fact that this is a somewhat serious charge levied against him, and nobody's said a word about it. I mean, Cyrus has on this show, and I know there have been, Kylan Mills has referenced it. There have been, little spurts of people saying, hey, what's the story here? But it never leads to Golden State saying, you know what, you're right. We need to do our due diligence on this. They seem to be defending him to the hilt, and that's great. If he's innocent, it's going to be, I think, a very bad PR move if he's not.
Yeah. First of all, from a basketball perspective, the Kerr Lamb love fest is real, because
Yeah.
we're talking about Casablanca, the way the way we were with Barbra Streisand. I mean, God, man, this thing is real. It was good to see Moses Moody get some run tonight, because
Yes.
he is officially the most mature 20-year-old I've ever observed in my life, because the stuff that he's doing now, he could have been doing all season had he been given the opportunity. With regards to Lamb, obviously, I have so much empathy for the young lady who was involved in, this incident. I don't really know what to call it, because there's been no facts from my perspective. I don't know what the facts are. From Lamb's perspective, you know what? I don't feel sorry for him, but I do have compassion for him. Also, when I think of the Golden State Warriors, I think of the model franchise. And I think to myself, would the Golden State Warriors put themselves in a situation where they have not turned over every stone? I don't think so. So you got bad PR, and then you have the due diligence that we assume that they've done to the unteam. So I don't know what to think of it. I think internally among players, they're really, really tight. And for an organization simply to make a move because their fans are not happy with it, that does happen. But on this particular team, because the players have so much say-so, and we are presuming that the Warriors have done their due diligence, I'm not overly surprised that they have kind of buttoned things up like they did with the Wiggins deal, although they're two totally different stories.
It's funny. It's like I played basketball, I coached basketball, I've reffed basketball, I've been watching basketball for decades. I feel like I know a little something about basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there are people that will look you in the eye and say, well, of course he's playing Anthony Lamb over Moses Moody. Anthony Lamb's a better player than Moses Moody. There's not a chance in hell that Anthony Lamb is better than Moses Moody. Moses Moody's significantly better than Anthony Lamb. He can do more things. He can do more things. He's younger. He's got better talent. He's got more upside. He's got more long range potential. He's got more, talent today. Um, I don't understand. I mean, I understand people who want to align with the kind of the power, and so there are a lot of people out there that the coach says this, and he's the coach, and you think you know more than the coach? Well, if the coach says Anthony Lamb's better than Moses Moody, then yeah, I think I know more than the coach. I do. I don't, I don't know why that gets thrown out. I mean, Anthony Lamb's a little bit older. He's played a little bit more, a few more games maybe. I don't know. But Moses Moody has got far more upside, far more ability, Moses Moody, is not an awesome athlete by NBA standards, but he's a better athlete than Anthony Lamb. He's not long by NBA standards, but he's longer than Anthony Lamb. He's not an awesome defender, but I think he's a better defender than Anthony Lamb. I think he can move better laterally than Anthony Lamb. I don't see anything that Lamb does out there that is better than Moody, and yet I've heard people all year in different venues and different spots suggest that Lamb is clearly better than Moses Moody, and I don't see that at all. If anything, I see it the other way.
Well, I would love to hear the other part of that sentence when they make that first part and try to explain to me why Lamb is better, because I'm a talent evaluator. I've been a head coach at 4 different high schools. I played D1 basketball. I played with pros.
Yeah.
And Lamb, listen, is he better than he was when he started the year? Absolutely. Does he want to fit in? Yes. Is he giving full effort? I think he is. But the deciding factor to me is what you spoke to, just natural ability. His lateral quickness and his dexterity is not NBA level. It really isn't, which is why, I'll give you a perfect example. Lamb probably has the most and 1 fouls on anybody on the team.
Right.
And the reason being is because he's late to react to the next progression when a team goes into their offense. Now, he's made a couple of blocks and he's rebounding. You got to give Moody a chance because he can do what he did tonight. The dude stretched the defense. He was 3 for 5 from the 3-point line. So I'm not disrespecting Lamb's basketball ability because the guy's out there playing in the NBA in games that matter. But as a fan and as somebody who's just watching the game, he's not a better player than Moses Moody. He's not.
No way. No way. What I would say to Steve is, Steve, how many guys coming off your pine can actually get you double figures? Really? Looney's not a scorer. Baldwin maybe someday will be. He only played 2 minutes tonight. He's not the guy. Peyton's a defender. DiVincenzo can get you double figures.
Right.
Ty Jerome I like, but I mean he's a G League, he's a kind of a back and forth guy on the edges of the league. Quinones has got a nice shot, but he's not there yet. Jermichael Green is not known as a scorer. He might be able to get you double figures in a night, but if you're really looking for somebody to score double figures off the bench, there are 2 guys on your team, Dante DiVincenzo and Moses Moody. Those 2 guys can pull double figures off the bench, and there have been a bunch of games this year where the Warriors just looked like they were just outgunned by teams that had more scoring ability. And Moody, in a lot of those games, just DNP, coach's decision, or 7 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever, passing minutes. This guy could be your scorer off the bench. And since he's such a respectful guy, Frank,
right,
that he wants to defer. But if they just charged him up and said, Moses, you are the second, you're the bench scoring. When you're in the game off the bench, hoist, shoot it. You're the offensive figure out there, on the bench. You're the guy we're looking to get 15 to 20 from in, 20, 25 minutes. Forget being respectful. Go score. Go score. We need your points. I think that would make them a better basketball team. If Moses Moody was given consistent minutes and could produce consistent points off the bench, I think that would make them a better basketball team. They'd win more games. There's no doubt in my mind. Instead, they don't really give him that responsibility. They don't simplify things. They kind of confuse it for him. They some nights he plays, some nights he DNP, some nights he gets a couple minutes. He's in, he's out. You'd swear he's a bad guy because it's almost like he's in Kerr's doghouse. It's like, Steve, do you recognize that there are teams in this league that have 3 and 4 and 5 guys off the bench that can go for double figures? You have 2 guys, DiVincenzo and Moody, are the 2 guys that realistically could go for double figs off the bench, and half the time you're not even putting Moody out there. So I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand why there's many times this year I'm looking at them going, wow, they just got outgunned. The other team had more scorers. And, look at tonight. 13 for Moody in 26 minutes to go with 5 rebounds, 16 for DiVincenzo. Nobody else. I mean, I guess Peyton had 8, 4 of 8. He took 2 threes. He missed them both. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, Steve. I mean, why? Why are we getting so much Anthony Lamb? We got Brian Iglesias, 95.7. Brian says, hey, fellas, I'm not sure why Kerr started Lamb. I'm glad they started Kavan in the second half. Warriors won this game because they made 23s tonight and out-rebounded the Thunder by 16, 54-38. Yeah, Golden State was plus 30 at the three-point line. That had a lot to do with it.
Well, I mean, this was a game in which their offense got them over the top, but their defense kept them around in the second half so their offense could do what it did. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a combination of both tonight. I mean, Steph was on one, Poole was on one, and defensively, they made OKC look like what they are, which is a young, emerging basketball team. Again, with regards to Moody, I think Moody's professionalism and the fact that he is seemingly a great human being, it actually works against him. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have like the Buzz Highland thing where he kind of blew up in Denver and Michael Malone got rid of him. Moody has been the consummate pro. As a 20-year-old, I'm sad to say that would not be me. As a 25-year-old, yes, I could do it because I would understand what was going on. This kid is 20 years old. He doesn't even have his rookie contract guaranteed fully yet. So you know what he's thinking? He's like, yo, put me in, coach. Give me an opportunity. Now, quietly, I believe that Kerr and the rest of the coaches are counseling him, talking to him one-on-one, saying, listen, dude, you're going to be in the league for 10 years. We love you, and you're going to be a part of this organization, so on and so forth. But it's agonizing for people who are not in on those conversations like you and I.
Yeah. No, you're sitting there watching and going, come on, man. This guy was a lottery pick. Come on. You got to give him a chance. And it's one thing to like make him earn it. And it seemed like there was late in the year he was getting some momentum towards minutes, and then all of a sudden it just kind of stopped. It's like there's people, I hate to say this, but it's really true. Some people get screwed over in life because they're a good person and they know they're going to be professional no matter what, right? Some guys are only going to be professional if it goes their way. Other guys are going to be professional no matter what. Mm-hmm. And the people that are going to be professional no matter what, sometimes they get screwed over. They don't get the promotion at work. Why? Because, man, if Bob doesn't get that promotion, he's going to be hell to be around. But if Susie doesn't get that promotion, she's still going to work hard. We'll just give it to Bob, and Susie will get hers eventually. And we just don't – it's better for our work culture if we just, give it to Bob and not Susie. But is it fair to Susie? No.
Right.
And is it fair to Moses Moody that he's like a chill guy who's like, has a lot of confidence and isn't going to go south on you, and he's not going to pout, and he's not going to backtalk you, and he's not going to go AWOL and not show up for practice and start MFing you, and he's not going to do any of that stuff. So sometimes I get the feeling that his personality has been like, hey, I'm such a good, respectful guy, and Kerr's just trotting on him at this point. It's like, oh, you know what? He's a guy that I can sit down comfortably because he's not going to push back.
That's a great point. No,
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I never like that. If I ever see anybody in that situation, that always pisses me off. It's like, come on. Don't just go take path of least resistance, Steve. Go put your best players on the floor. And you don't have that many great scorers. My God, you need second group scoring. You need bench scoring in the worst way. And there's been a bunch of games you've lost this year because you haven't had it. And now you got this guy, and he could go double figures off the bench, and you just kind of sometimes forget about him, and sometimes just let him go with somebody else because somebody else might make it, might pout a little bit or might be unhappy. It's like, come on, play Moses, play him a little bit more. Dan's in Manila. He says if the Clippers beat the Lakers and everyone wins out, the Clippers are the 5, Golden State's the 6, Lakers are the 7, New Orleans is the 8. The Lakers win and everyone wins out, it's 5 Lakers, 6 Warriors, 7 New Orleans, 8 Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
So that Clipper game, if the Clippers lose to the Lakers tomorrow night, they fall from the 5 seed to the 8 seed in the play-in?
I mean,
that's dramatic.
They definitely won't be in the top 6. I think that the Warriors might be in a situation where they're tempted to do something that you are told by the basketball gods never to do. Don't play tic-tac-toe when you're playing basketball. You go out and you try to win your games, but they might be in a situation where they are deciding who they want to play, because the Lakers also have to play the Phoenix Suns on Friday night. And like the Phoenix position with Memphis might kind of be in play. I'm not quite sure, but that's going to be a tough game. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it is.
That's going to be a really tough game. So if the Lakers lose that game and they lose tomorrow night against the Clippers and they're 2 behind, the Warriors theoretically could win one of the next 2 and still maintain the 6th spot.
Khaled Ibrahim says Lamb is better than Moody. And then
He's
he goes,
joking. He got to be joking. He know what he wants to do?
Lamb is better at pretty much everything except for maybe spit up shooting. I don't know. I think he probably meant something else.
Yeah.
Come on. Now you got.
He wanted you to read his tweet. That's all that was.
Yeah, you're just trolling me. You're trolling me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Moses played a major role in a big-time college program. And
lottery pick. It's a lottery pick.
Yeah, it's a lottery pick. Not only that, he's probably, I mean, the only thing that really kind of fries my bacon is that I really think that Steve kind of mishandled his whole confidence.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that, don't, keep turning this guy into prove it to me. He's not the prove it to you kind of guy. But pump this guy up. Moses, you're our second, you're our off the bench, leader. You're gonna be the guy that fuels our second team. Pump him up full of confidence. Don't keep challenging him to be like, oh, like he's lazy or he's not doing it. He's not playing hard. He's playing hard. He's engaged. He's a great guy. I think they've lost an opportunity because now you can't build him up this fast. I mean, some people saying, well, maybe he'll take Lamb's minutes going forward. Yeah, but I mean, he's not going to have the kind of confidence that he should have. He should have been like the key scoring cog on their bench unit, and that should be his role. And he should be coming off the bench looking to fire and looking to just hoist and looking to score. And he could do it. But they haven't really empowered him, and you can kind of tell. So he's still kind of respectful, and he's playing off of others, and he's trying to make good basketball plays, when in reality, they need him to just become the alpha of the bench unit, take over and score it. But he doesn't feel comfortable because he hasn't really been given the verbal green light by these coaches. I really believe that. And it's like they blew that opportunity, because if they had pumped him full of confidence, he would be a really good bench scorer right now. We would all see it, and it would be like, he would be synonymous with big totals off the bench and lots of shots off the bench. He doesn't really look comfortable taking multiple shots without doing something in between. If he takes one outside shot and it doesn't go, he's a little hesitant the second time. If he takes one and it goes, he's not looking to necessarily, shoot another one. It's like he's looking to blend on a bench unit that needs him to be the alpha and score. And it's like anybody can see that, and they don't have a bunch of options to go to if it's not him. And yet here we are. It's April the 4th, and he's still kind of feeling his way because he hasn't really been given that endorsement. I mean, that's what I'm seeing, Frank. I see a guy that could score 20 a game off the bench, but he doesn't want to shoot that much because he's still trying to kind of blend, and he's just, you can see it. I mean, there's a presence to a lot of the one you call it positive, negative. It's an upside or a downside depending on how you look at it. But there's a number of these players on the Warriors that have a true presence on the floor because of the rings, because of the titles, because of the success. And the young guys who aren't in that situation defer too much. And so if I was Kerr, I would have told Kuminga, man, we got 2 or 3 guys on this team that can attack the rim. We need you to attack the rim. Moses, we got 1 or 2 guys, period, that can score off the bench. We need you to score off the bench. And have they given him that sense of entitlement? Have they given him the green light? Because I get the feeling that they're still kind of like, how do I fit in? I'm the young guy here.
Well,
It's April.
Well, you look at Kerr, and he's an interesting study because he's had so much success. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's a brilliant leader, strategist type. But at the same time, he's almost a victim of his experiences. Phil Jackson, my favorite coach, hated to play young guys. Did not want to play young guys. Popovich did not want to play young guys. Why? Because they're young, for no other reason. And think about this. Kerr grudgingly started to put Kuminga in the game because he had to. But it wasn't like, yo, Kuminga, you got 25 minutes a game. That did not happen. And he even gets a little funky now when everybody around the league is like, yo, who's that guy? Oh, that's Kuminga, the lottery pick. So Kerr has his quirks as a coach. And he seemingly doesn't allow outside forces or inside forces to alter him from what he thinks is ultimately going to help this team be successful. Unfortunately, players' confidence, their growth as players and their opportunities are inhibited because of the mindset that Kerr has.
Golden State's no defense in the first half. I mean, we've seen them not play defense a few times this year, but Frank, 60% is what OKC shot in the first half. 60%, 57% from beyond the arc. What did you see with the Warrior defense in the first half? It's weird. I mean, they come out and there are times when they just look like they're just going through the total motions, just kind of running up and down, and it's just, 60%. I mean, it was amazing watching that first half.
I thought it started with the starting 5. That was did they pick that starting 5, drawing names out of a bucket? I mean, come on, man. That starting 5 was crazy. I mean, listen, why didn't he start Looney? Why not? I mean, Clay is not playing, your offensive juggernaut, one of your top defenders. Oh, so I'm going to take my second or third best defender and put him on the bench and put in a younger guy. Didn't Lamb start?
Yeah.
He started.
Yeah, he started. He played 12 minutes.
Come on, man. Listen.
And then he went to Looney in the third quarter. Looney had a bunch of rebounds.
Yeah.
Looney was plus 17. He had 4 points, but he had 11 rebounds.
Yeah, I thought the start lineup was crazy. And let's give OKC some credit. They put numbers up against everybody. This team is going to be a problem next year. So young guys build off of confidence. When they get on a roll, they think they can conquer the world. You know how it was, Larry, when you and I were much younger? You say,
sure.
Oh, stay out all night? Oh, no problem. I don't have to go to sleep. I'll just take a nap and go to work the next day. So these are budding superstar players that were allowed to build their confidence in the first half because the Warriors' defense was not good, but their alignment and their personnel out there, I don't think was the best that they could put out there. And it was scary to me. It was very scary.
Well, it was a weird first half. The other thing that Golden State, sometimes they just don't get to the line because they so settle for perimeter shots. First half, the Warriors took 10 free throws. The Thunder took 21.
Right.
I mean, that's dramatic. For the most part, in that first half, it was, the Warriors held their own inside. OKC was +2 in the paint. They were +1 on the glass. Jalen Williams hit a big three right before the end of the first half. I'll tell you the guy who I wanted badly the Golden State Warriors to get, and I threw this name out to a couple different people, and they laughed. They're like, no, he's no good. Isaiah Joe.
Yeah.
There are very few guys who can shoot the basketball like Isaiah Joe. This guy can flat out shoot it. Now, he's only about 6'5", maybe 6'4" and change. He's not the most physical guy. He's a little on the skinny side. But he had 14 in the first half, and man, he was a huge part of the first half for OKC. And he started in Philly, played for Musselman at Arkansas, and for whatever reason, probably his lack of physicality, he kind of didn't go very high in the draft. Philly took him. They played him a little bit. He showed some glimpses there. But once again, the guy that I think is the best GM in all of basketball is Sam Presti. And Presti knows young talent. And he's like, hey, I'll take Isaiah Joe. And now look at Isaiah Joe. Isaiah Joe is he's a lethal scorer off the bench. I thought Isaiah Joe's first half had a lot to do with OKC having such an incredible first half. He was terrific.
No, he's a legitimate NBA player. And I think in retrospect in Philly, he kind of got caught up in the numbers game. There might have been a player or two who had a guaranteed contract, maybe a former first-round pick. And I just think that he lost out because of the numbers. But he showed signs in Philly, and you're right. He's built on that. And I can even see Doc Rivers saying, listen, I would love to coach you, but there's no room here. Go and make your way somewhere else. And he's going to be a stable in OKC or somewhere else because, again, you alluded to his package. He's not a guy who's going to take 3 or 4 dribbles and drive to the basket and finish over people, but he's a catch and shoot guy. He's a corner shooter. He's a legitimate offensive player off your bench. And Sam Presti, if he's not the best, he's one of the top 2 or 3. That guy's evaluative skills are as good as anybody who's ever done that job. I'll say that. So
great GM.
He's
GM.
awesome. He is. He's awesome.
I mean, seriously. I mean, nobody. What did you think OKC was going to do at the beginning of the year? I mean, what's the Vegas over-under, I think, for OKC was like 26. They got 38 wins.
Yeah, no, I didn't see 38. I thought maybe 30 to 32, but I definitely did not see 38. No way in hell.
The other guy that I got to shout out tonight is Draymond Green. My God, Draymond Green is just continuing to play so incredible. 17 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He had a pair of blocks. Had a couple steals. I mean, Draymond Green. People talk kind of casually like, he's going to be elsewhere next year. He better not be elsewhere next year.
Right.
I mean, seriously,
right.
This guy's big time, man. I mean, he's just. I mean, what did you think of? When you saw Draymond Green at Michigan State, and what did you think of him at the time? What did you think when they drafted him? And now it's like, to me, Frank, he's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had people push back on that, and say that, he's nothing without Steph. He's nothing without Clay. I'll push the other way and say, you know what? They're ringless without him. I really believe that. What was your feeling on Green tonight? What was your feeling on him at Michigan State?
At Michigan State, I've been doing draft evaluations for over 10 years. And you can go to inthedungeonshow.com and look at the draft evaluation that I did on Draymond Green. And what I said was, this guy will be in the NBA for over 10 years. That's what I said. Did I think he would necessarily be a starter or an all-star Hall of Famer? No, I did not. But I knew that he would be in the NBA for at least 10 years. And I was probably one of the few people to make that claim at that particular time. The difference between Draymond Green at Michigan State and Draymond as a professional is the discipline that he has exhibited with his diet. This guy's weight has not altered
It's a great
3,
point. Great
4,
point.
5 pounds in 10 years. Because he was kind of a pudgy guy at
Right. He had
Michigan
baby
State.
fat. He had baby
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah, no, this dude, man, I
And
marvel.
not everybody works it off. Zach Randolph had the
No,
same issue. Played his
yes.
whole career. He never
Right.
lost the weight.
Nah, Draymond has been one of the most disciplined players in the history of the NBA as it relates to his physical fitness. And I'm sure he's not doing it by himself. So I would give a lot of his team members, whoever they are, credit for that. But that has been his calling card, his ability to show up every year in tip-top shape, even if he might be eroding his natural ability a little bit. He's in shape. His mental game is multi-levels above the average NBA player. And I would love to debate the person that you talked to who said that the guy is nothing without Steph. I mean, come on, man. That's crazy.
Oh, I know. It is crazy. It is
That's
crazy.
nuts.
And there are some NBA players, let's be honest, there are some NBA players that have kind of hinted at that as well, Frank, that he's like somehow some guy who just happened to be, Johnny on the spot. He's in the right place at the right time. Otherwise, he's nothing. It's like, no.
They're jealous. That's what they are.
They're jealous, and
They're
also
jealous.
they're just trying to discredit him because he, rubs people the wrong way.
Right.
Because let's be honest, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's on the other team, you hate him, right? I bet you there, if you're a fan of the Suns, if you're a fan of the Thunder, if you're a fan of the Celtics, you hate Draymond Green.
Right.
And you can kind of tell that a lot of the Northeast media, they hate Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not gonna say what you want him to say. He's not gonna do what you want him to do. And then when he wins, he's gonna rub your nose in it. And I think he's one of the greatest competitors I've ever seen. I'll put his competitive fire right there with Joe Montana, Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. He's got the winning gene. He's the difference. To me, he is. Some people would say overrated. I would say he's underrated. And I can make a very compelling argument that he's underrated. He knows how to play, and he makes everybody better. And when you watch him, he makes great plays on all ends of the floor. He'll make great plays on the defensive end, on the offensive end. He'll facilitate. He'll make great plays in the middle of the floor. He's one of the smartest basketball players I've ever seen. I think this guy could be a GM. He could be a coach. He could be an announcer, and he'd be great at all of them.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
I think timing does matter. But this is a guy who went to college for 4 years, played for one of the greatest college coaches in history. So he got buttoned up in all the fundamentals of the game. And as much as we reflect on the NBA of the past and all the players that we grew up loving, the NBA is a better game today. It's smarter, all right? Aesthetically, I think it's actually better to look at.
It's emphasis on skill over just brute force.
Yes.
Yep.
And as the game has gotten smarter and evolved, a person with the uniqueness of a Draymond Green has ascended to the top, because some of these great players that we loved in the past, they can't do half the things that Draymond Green could do. Yeah, they can shoot better, but they cannot do the things that this guy can do. So you're measured by how you perform during your era. And in his era, over a 10-year period, who's done better? With the exception of maybe Steph Curry. Nobody.
Great. Yeah. I mean, not only that, I mean, look at the way he fills out the stat sheet.
It's crazy.
Last year he averaged 7 assists per game. The year before that he averaged 8.9 assists per game. How many guys can honestly say and just look in the eye, and they're not BSing at all. They're totally being straight. And they come out and they say, you know what? I'm a facilitator who's going to lead my team in assists, and I'm a rim protector. How many guys in the entire league are rim protectors and facilitators?
Exactly. Listen.
I mean, seriously. I mean, I can't.
Nobody.
Who? Yeah. I mean, it's a very rare combination of traits. I mean, it's very rare.
Hey, listen. This is what Draymond's 13th year, maybe.
Yeah, it's been around. Let me see. I
Okay.
can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is year 11.
Okay. How many players at his size in their 11th year is destined to be on the first team all defense? I mean, you could make an argument that this guy, he's going to receive more than the charity vote for Defensive Player of the Year. Every time the Warriors get in a point where they might lose a game, Draymond blocks somebody at the rim, box somebody out, getting the key rebound. This dude, I mean, literally, you could create some type of algorithm or some type of statistical breakdown and equate 7 or 8 victories this year for the Warriors just to Draymond Green because of his defense. This has been one of his best years defensively of his career. It's amazing.
8, 7, and 7. I mean, that's what he averages. 8 points a game, 7 boards, 7 assists. It's an amazing stat line, really. I mean, it's when you think about the way he plays. Brian Iglesias, 95.7. Brian says, the question I have is, why has Kerr recently DNP'd Jermichael Green? He last played against the T-Wolves, but he's been a good scoring option off the bench as well. Steve's rotations are very confusing. Yeah, I mean, another guy who seems like, is Steve trying to disrupt his rhythm or get him to establish a rhythm, or is it about everybody else and it's not ever about Jermichael Green? So it's really his rotations and how much Jermichael Green plays have nothing to do with exactly how he plays. Maybe it's just like, he's one of the guys he's just on the outside looking in. I don't know, because Brian's right. If you just look the last few weeks, you're starting to see Jermichael Green get it rolling. And then you got a game like tonight, and how many minutes did Jermichael Green play?
He didn't play. Well, here's the deal. You made a statement the last podcast, and I didn't check it because I just assumed that you had checked it. You said that you thought, I mean, and maybe you were inferring that he wasn't playing because of turnovers or something like that. I don't know. I didn't check that. But aesthetically, when he's on the court, he had been playing pretty good basketball. And it's kind of strange that he's not getting in the game. Now, to his credit, when they flash him on the bench, he's clapping. He's being a great teammate. And I think the Warriors have so much power in the NBA. He's probably going to buy himself a couple of more years because I think they're going to put a good word out for him. And he actually might win a championship, but he has really, really matured because, again, logic doesn't always follow Kerr's substitution patterns. A lot of times it flat out doesn't. And then that's one of those times in which I'm puzzled why a veteran like that, who's very physical, who understands that his hustle is basically based on whether or not he's going to play, and he doesn't even get in the game when they're giving up, 69 points in the first half or more, whatever it was?
79.
79.
Yeah, they scored
didn't even get it. And Jermichael didn't even get in the game? I mean, come on, man.
Didn't get in.
I would have put my mom out there. Hey, Mom, get out there and guard somebody.
Seriously. Slow somebody down. Spencer says, Larry, are you going to do shows with your brother when the Kings continue on in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Don't troll me. Don't troll me. Fuck the beam. The Kings are going down. And I'll be at my brother's place on Easter Sunday. And, I won't say it in front of his wife or kids. But when we get out by the grill, I'm gonna drop a F the beam. You guys are going down in the first round. And he'll look at me and he'll say, "Are you serious? You really?" My brother, he knows what he knows because he's a judge. He's a law. He knows the law. If I said something about some Supreme Court case, he'd battle me on it. But if I say, you know what, fuck the beam, the Kings are going down in the first round, he'd be like, you think so? And I'd be like, yeah, I think so. All right, we welcome in Sai Satsis, the man who, prior to joining us, has been locked on Warriors.
Yeah.
We were debating. Frank and I are debating this one tonight. No baller tonight. Danny's still hanging in Manila, but I've heard rumors that Danny's going to call in from Manila, so that should be interesting. But we were kind of going off on a number of things. One, Anthony Lamb starting.
Yeah.
2, Lamb over Moses Moody. I kind of went off on the fact that Moses Moody should have been injected full of confidence and a green light. Instead, he's been checked. Every time he gets any momentum going, Kerr slows him down. I've sung the praises of Dante DiVincenzo. We've gone
Yeah.
back and forth on a number of different things. But one of the things we were getting into right now is Jermichael Green. Brian, 95.7, Brian said Jermichael Green was, he doesn't understand why Green has not gotten more minutes, especially lately, Cy, because we all know Green's been, he's been playing better and he's been producing lately.
He was, yeah.
What did you think of the game tonight without us leading you in any direction? What did you think of the game tonight? What did you think of the rotations tonight? We've discussed a lot of rotations.
I opted to take a much more positive route because, look, it's easier to do that when they win. But the reason why I was super positive is because for the first time all season, Kerr acknowledged his mistakes before it was too late. We actually saw the Warriors make halftime adjustments.
Mhm.
So that disastrous starting lineup, and thankfully before the show ended over on Locked On Warriors, NBC Sports Bay Area posted the clip of Steve Kerr in the post-game press conference answering a question about that starting lineup and why he went with that absurdity. And he was very forthright. He said he wanted to mix it up because he thought the team had been struggling in starts. Now, why you think Anthony Lamb is the player that's going to turn that around, I have no idea. I feel like Kerr is more and more so on an island in and of himself. In terms of his adoration, his love for Anthony Lamb, I don't get it.
Did Lamb go to Arizona?
No, he went to the University.
No, I'm joking.
I know. Because Tom Tolbert and Kerr. But he made changes. The starting lineup in the second half, he replaced Lamb, he replaced Kuminga, and he brought Looney and DiVincenzo in. That was huge. And the other weird thing in the first half too was, and Kerr acknowledged this at least. I just look, man, we're all human. I will forgive almost anyone for making mistakes. Just acknowledge it, man. Just suppress your ego. Like, ego to me is such a massive turnoff along with arrogance. And Kerr's been exhibiting that, I feel like, a lot this year, but he didn't tonight. He acknowledged not only that the starting lineup was a disaster, and he corrected it. I mean, we didn't see Lamb at all in the second half, except for garbage time, which was huge. But he also only played Gary Payton the second 4 minutes in the first half, which made no damn sense when you're giving up 79 points in a half.
Right.
But we saw him in the second half. And look, he thankfully we like the identity of this Warriors team in so many ways during this dynasty has been those third quarter surges, making those halftime adjustments. We haven't seen it all year. The Warriors have been outscored over 55% of their games of the season in the third quarter. He fixed that tonight, made the adjustments. They won a pivotal, huge game. And all I can hope for now is that we see more Moody and we see less Lamb and we see this iteration that we saw tonight, because what we saw tonight can work. We just have to see it. So
I was saying to Frank before you jumped in that the only two guys on this bench, and Brian brings up Jermichael Green, and there's maybe you could throw him in there because he is a veteran, he can score.
Yeah,
but to me, it's DiVincenzo and Moses fucking Moody.
Yes.
Those are the only guys who can fucking score off the bench. Why is it so hard to put those guys out there?
I don't know.
There are times when Golden State this year has gotten outgunned, where you literally at the end of the game, you're like, well, yeah, Steph had a decent night, and Clay was decent, Poole was decent, but, the other team had 5 guys or 6 guys in double figures, and Golden State couldn't keep up. And Moses Moody, DNP, coach's decision. It's like, I just think they missed an opportunity to just take the whole last month and a half and build Moses' confidence and basically just give him not just the green light. I want the extreme green light. I want him thinking that he's like the Boston Strangler coming off the bench, Andrew Toney. I want him thinking, you know what? When I'm in the game, it's my time to go.
Yeah.
Instead, they're so like jerking him around and treating him like a 19-year-old, and it's like, dude, the rest of your bench cannot score. This guy can score, and yet there's times when he doesn't look to score, and he's out there with guys where he should be looking to score. So I don't understand. To me, they've bungled kind of like what he could have been if they had pumped him full of confidence the last 2 months.
Oh, you're echoing exactly what I've been screaming and ranting about for months. And again, I'm just really thankful we saw him tonight. I do take so Grilled Cheese in your chat writes, that I've been on point lately. What the fuck do you mean lately, man? I'm always on point. Shit, dude. What do you
Where's
lately?
that?
No, thank you. That was very kind of excuse. But yeah. So, but this was
Earlier
a huge
this
game.
year, you were not on point. I mean,
What was it? What did I miss?
no, I'm just joking.
What did I miss? I'll admit it. But tonight was huge also with the standings too, because the Warriors right now. I don't know if you've touched on this or not, but they're the 5th seed right now, but realistically they're the 6th seed because whoever wins tomorrow's Clippers-Lakers game, which is massive, will be the 5 seed. If it's the Clippers will officially own the tiebreaker over the Warriors. They'll be the 5 seed. Warriors will be the 6 seed because of division record. But if the Lakers win tomorrow night, the Lakers will be the 5 seed. And because of head-to-head, they won 3 out of 4 times. But the Warriors now own, they control their own destiny for that 6 seed. And it's huge.
The Warriors have the tiebreaker against the Lakers?
No, but right
now.
Right,
okay, I got you. But
if they win out, they'll get the 6th seed regardless of what happens because right now they're sitting ahead of Minnesota and New Orleans. And avoiding the play-in is so big because you get a whole week off. And that week to get Wiggins ramped up, that week to give some of your veterans rest, man, that could be the entire difference.
Here's the deal, though. If the Lakers lose tomorrow and they lose against Phoenix on Friday, then the Warriors basically could win 1 of 2 and still get the 6th seed.
Well, yes, but I don't know if they want to tie because New Orleans. The stat that they don't show, and I don't know if we have to calculate this ourselves, is if the tiebreaker goes beyond conference record in the case of the Pelicans, for example, then the next tiebreaker is win-loss percentage versus playoff-bound teams. Okay. And I don't know who the hell is doing that research. It's not showing up on any box scores, but that's the next tiebreaker. And so if the Warriors, let's say, finish tied with New Orleans, I don't know who wins that tiebreaker. Okay. I also don't know who wins the What's up?
I think New Orleans does.
Based on what?
If they
it's a new law in the Philippines about.
I heard that New Orleans, if they tie, I think New Orleans didn't.
Where'd you hear
New
that
Orleans.
From, Dan?
It's been something I read few days ago, but
he was watching Locked On Pelicans the other day.
If they tie together, but if they tie, if there's 2 or more teams, then it could go to the Warriors based on some kind of conference.
No, as I've mentioned, I'll mention it again. If it's between the Pelicans and the Warriors, it comes down to conference record because they split their head-to-head. Right now, their records are literally tied. So if that happens, the next tiebreaker is win-loss percentage versus playoff-bound teams. I have no idea what those win-loss percentages are. I don't know where you find that, in all honesty, outside of calculating it yourself, which could take forever.
Friday's game scares me a little bit.
What's up?
Friday's game scares me a little bit.
Graves said mute Danny. Danny, I muted you, but I was just fucking around. Just fucking around. You're back.
He said just kidding.
How's the adobo,
I did put in the comments earlier, Larry.
Yes.
What happens if the Lakers?
Oh, I know. In fact, I read it. I read your comment. You also have one in here. I was going to throw in. Danny also answered the question that I threw out to Frank before Cy walked in, which is, I said, how many guys in the league are facilitators and rim protectors? There he is, Dan Coach Emilio. Jokic. He's right. Jokic. I mean, Jokic does a lot more than score inside. But he's not the best rim protector. But yeah, he's a facilitator and a rim protector. There's very few guys in the league that do both. Danny, good to see you. You're in Manila.
Yeah.
I'm hearing
I'm actually in south of Manila, about 12-hour drive. I'm in my wife's province where she grew up, which is Sorsogon.
Nice. Now,
what's
it like there? What's the weather like? Is it humid?
It's humid as hell. It's just, it's green as, all I can think of, man, is like, man, I can't believe we sent soldiers to fight in Vietnam in this whole thing, man. It's just like coming out of the bush. All you see is green bushes and jungle looking like, and I'm like, because it's so tropical. And I'm just thinking, can you imagine being 18 years old and in a jungle with full gear on and having to fight for, geez, I was just like,
you have a great internet connection.
Is it going good?
That's great, man.
Seriously, it's like you're in fucking San Ramon or something.
I'm impressed by the Philippines.
I just got Wi-Fi at the house here. There was a company that was pulling wire like 100, 200 feet down the street. And I said, what are you guys doing? And he says, oh, we're connecting houses, with the Wi-Fi. He says, oh, can you connect, my
Did you mention the Krug? Did you mention the Krug show at all? And
I threw the Krug show out, and they gave a discount.
How are the housing prices there? I mean, in theory, you could just buy a house there and just and run.
I could, yeah, I could build. There's property right next door to my wife's mom's house that's they own. I could literally build a 1,200 square foot beautiful house for $40,000.
It'd be tough to cover the Giants, though.
Yeah, I mean,
would it, Larry? I mean,
I've been watching the Giants games. They come on like at 1:32 in the morning. I'm waking up and I'm watching
for that reason. Okay,
yeah.
I'll tell you, the Giants have had 3 unwatchable games. Well, I guess 2 unwatchable games and 2 incredible games. And the last game was like, I'm sitting there watching that, going, Villar's going to hit 40 bombs. Yaz looks awesome. Everybody looks awesome. It was an amazing deal watching that. But Mark
until
Graves,
tomorrow.
Exactly, until Dylan ceased tomorrow. Mark Graves says, Dan sounds better than Larry's mic did the other day. Yeah. Have you noticed I've got my mic fixed now?
Did you figure it out? Was it in StreamYard on automatic or?
Yeah, you know what? It had to do with how high my headsets were, and it was bleeding through how high I was, how high everybody else was.
Indica, maybe. The indica.
And then so basically I've got it locked now, so I can't touch it. It can't be moved. It can't be changed.
Locked on.
Very sensitive equipment, Larry. That's you can't touch it at all.
Seriously. No, I mean you can touch it, but it's locked. It's locked.
No, that's cool. You've been entertaining me at like when I can't sleep because my clock's messed up. So I'm watching you like.
Yeah, what time is it there? It's 10:48
right
p.m.
Let me look at my phone because I never changed my watch. It's 1:48.
It's tomorrow there.
Yeah, 1:48 p.m. Wednesday here.
Who won between Lakers and Clippers?
Oh, I was going to tell you that. No need to watch.
Yeah.
And the toilet's
you're in the
there, right?
Dan's in the future, everybody.
Exactly,
Dan joins us from the future.
In the other hemisphere. He's looking at different stars up there. True story.
That'd be awesome. Dan, he knows. Yeah. Lakers
That'd be great
beat the
for my
Clippers.
FanDuel account.
Oh,
Man,
that
would be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, bet this.
Okay, I got to mention this, guys, because this is a major story, and I did a video on it just minutes ago before we went live, and that is ESPN. The Car God says, Larry, ESPN is reporting Aaron Rodgers to the Niners. Any news on that?
Bullshit.
Now, I have not seen that, but I did do a video on this. Mike Florio is reporting that if the Jets-Packers trade that would send Aaron Rodgers to the Jets falls through, the 49ers are going to jump in on Aaron Rodgers.
Please.
They discussed it on the Pat McAfee show today. Florio says the Niners will get involved if that deal falls apart. Rodgers has stated that he wants to be a Jet. The Packers clearly want more than the Jets are offering or willing to give up. Peter Schrager from the NFL Network says the Jets' offer is going to be a second, a fourth, and a conditional second to Green Bay. Mike Tannenbaum from ESPN says the Jets would likely deal a 2023 third-round pick and a conditional 2024 pick for Rodgers. The Jets have 1 first, 2 seconds. The interesting part about this, and the very first time I heard this earlier today, I was like, nah, not going to happen. Why? Because John Lynch came out and said that, a big part of the Niners' secret right now, or not secret, but the big part of the key for them at building their roster is to have a quarterback on a rookie contract.
Yeah.
Whether it be Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. But, Aaron Rodgers, the way his deal is structured, and I looked this up just a half hour ago, it's only $15 million against the cap this year. It's $26 million the following year if he's even still playing. But the Niners are only $3 million. The Niners are currently only $3 million under the cap. They could restructure Christian McCaffrey's deal and get $8 or $9 million more.
Yes.
To make this happen. But then the question is, what exactly is going on here? Do the Niners want Aaron Rodgers? Does he want to play for the Niners? Is Trey Lance going? Is he going to Green Bay? Is Trey Lance going to go to a different team for a draft choice? And then the Niners would throw that draft choice for Rodgers? And then what if Rodgers actually does go to the Jets? What happens with Zach Wilson? I know I don't know, but I suspect Kyle Shanahan wanted Zach Wilson.
Ooh,
he's persona non grata right now at the Jets. If somehow the Jets are the Niners staying kind of linked in the deal flow here because they'd like to steal Zach Wilson for bare bottom prices, and maybe you move Trey Lance for a pick, you turn around and you trade that pick to Green Bay. Green Bay then trades that pick and whatever else for Rodgers, and maybe in that deal they get Zach Wilson. Maybe they spin him to the Niners. I don't know. There's a lot going on here, but either Rodgers may be a Niner, or Lance may be dealt, or Zach Wilson may be a Niner, or the deal may fall apart. I don't know, but go check out my. I did a whole 15-minute video on YouTube right before we went live tonight on the post game, all about this and all the ramifications of this. So check it out. But guys, what do you think? That would be a bombshell.
Is it Glacier right there with all those picks? Is that correct? What he wrote in the chat, that they have 11 picks this year?
The Niners do have 11 draft choices.
Dude,
yes.
Get him, please. He's a Super Bowl. You get Aaron Rodgers, you're a Super Bowl champion. So yes.
Here's the thing: people assume that the higher someone's salary, the more intrusive that is for the organization. But I would say that's not the case. Aaron Rodgers in a 49ers uniform would harken back to, imagine Brady wearing a 49ers uniform, or a Joe Montana or Steve Young. They could sell that thing to heights that we can't even imagine. The ratings, TV would be outstanding. And at the same time, when the 49ers have come up short, because they have a Super Bowl roster, it's been because of the quarterback, even because the guy's injured or not quite good enough. With Aaron Rodgers, the 49ers are the prohibitive favorite. Forget about KC. They are the prohibitive favorite to win the Super Bowl. So if it can happen, put your cash in front of the table and make it happen if it's a possibility.
Michael Taylor, I'm not sure if it's the old Raider PR guy. Do you guys know Mike Taylor? The old
Of course.
PR? Mike Taylor's loved Mike
20
Taylor.
years I've heard
Great guy.
Great guy. Never got me anybody from my show, but he was a great guy. I'm just being honest. Mike, if you're out there, I love you, brother. But
what's he doing now?
He never got me anybody. I don't know. I think maybe he's still the Raider PR guy, but one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Michael Taylor, probably not the same. It's probably a pretty common name. I'm just guessing. Rodgers to San Francisco, not happening. This is a media leak to ramp up pressure on the Jets to get a deal going.
Yeah.
Could be.
I would assume so, but we can dream, right?
Yeah.
In our beautiful
Here's the
world.
question. Do you think Rodgers was, the whole I was immunized? And let's get into the vax again. No.
Let's do it.
No, but how do you think the fans do you think the fans care about guys who are outspoken about Nick Bosa's a right-wing guy. I never see any Niner fans going, I don't like Nick Bosa.
But he's not outspoken, though.
But he's not outspoken.
Part.
Rodgers is outspoken. Do you think there would be pushback from the liberal, left-leaning Bay Area if the Niners acquired Aaron Rodgers and maybe even moved Trey Lance in the deal to get him? To me, it seems like if the Niners were going to get Rodgers, Lance would be involved. I don't think he's going to Green Bay necessarily, but he would have to be involved in traded somewhere for picks, right? And the only thing I'll say about this whole thing, the only thing that makes some sense here, you say, make sense of it. The only thing that makes sense is what if the 49ers, brass, Lynch, Shanahan, Jed, have made the professional evaluation that Purdy is better than Lance, but they don't think Purdy's going to be healthy until December. And in that scenario, Rodgers to the Niners makes perfect sense, because then you've got Purdy sitting there and you've got Rodgers this year, and you can look big Trent Williams in the eye and say, hey, big man, we're going for it this year. I know this may be the last year, but we're going for it in your window, and we've got Purdy for the future. That's the only thing. What do you guys think of that idea of?
I'd have some.
What do you think, Danny?
I think the rumor would have some credence to it a little bit if it was, Adam Scheffler. But Mike Florio, he's never right. It seems like.
I know he's wrong a ton. Florio is just, I'll say this too. Florio annoys the hell out of me because Florio. You guys know downtown San Francisco, right? There's if you were going to judge any city in America and you're judging them off of like a 3-block radius, I can guarantee you I can find a bad 3-block radius in New York, a bad 3-block radius in Chicago, anywhere. This guy stayed at the Marriott right there by Rochester Big and Tall, walked a couple of blocks to the convention center, where there's a lot of homeless people. There's a lot of There's a lot of people urinating. There's a lot of drug use.
Dirty.
And he went on his platform. Danny, is there a way you can kill that
What
sound?
is that?
Oh, I'll mute it. It's the air conditioner went on.
Yeah, I was going to say it's
Well,
Actually,
I'm happy to hear you're nice and cool.
yeah.
this is
it.
You know,
This is the only room that's cool,
What-
man. So I'm in here.
where's your pool outside, man? You got the light going on.
yeah. I love the decorations on the wall. It's really nice.
It is.
Uh,
Yeah, isn't that nice? It's just concrete.
Dan right now could be in a minimum security prison, and we wouldn't know.
Anywhere in the world.
Danny's
yeah.
right now in Lompoc, California, claiming that he's no, but
I'm in New York City.
Florio ripped the Bay Area and said that the Bay Area should never get the Super Bowl again because the Bay Area is dirty, drug infested, and everybody's smoking weed.
Wow.
And it's like, dude, you
brought up
stayed.
weed?
Yes, you stayed. You can look it up. It's on. You can look it up. He ripped
All right,
the.
looking up
It was
right now.
during the Niners Super Bowl. During the Super Bowl between the Panthers and the Broncos. He was here. He stayed on Mission and like 3rd. He walked to the convention center, which is like on Folsom and 2nd. And we, I'll freely admit, there's a lot of people laying around. There's homeless people. It's a major fucking city. Sorry, and. There's homeless people, and there's some drug use, and there's some urination, and there's some, it's not San Francisco. It's not the Lombard Street, crookedest street. It's not the Marina Greens. It's not Pacific Heights. It's not Laurel Heights. You know what I'm saying? It's not Golden Gate Park. But this guy literally said in his story, I'm staying here and I've done nothing but go from here and back and forth to the media center. And this is the dirtiest, ugliest, worst city, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, you picked like a 3-block radius and you're judging the entire city. And now you're telling the nation that we shouldn't get the Super Bowl again because you happen to stay in the wrong hotel. I mean, it's like, come on, bro. I just think I hate people who do that. Come on. Don't tell. I've been in every major city in America. You can find 3 bad streets in any city. You just can.
Agreed.
Anyway, here's Brian Iglesias, though. He says, yep. He said 49ers have 11 picks, 3/3, 3/5, a 6, 4/7, so might as well throw in a few picks and a young player for Rodgers.
Trey Lance. I actually feel like, why wouldn't you just send him to Green Bay? Green Bay can't be feeling
Jordan
great
Love.
enough.
How good is
Yeah,
Jordan Love? I don't think of Jordan Love as anything awesome.
I think Tennessee really wants him for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think so too. It makes sense. I threw out Tennessee the other day because I thought it made a lot of sense. But I'll tell you, I wasn't thinking of Rodgers coming to the Niners because I was thinking kind of like Kirk Cousins. There's no way the Niners could afford to fold in $35 million or, $40 million or whatever. But when you look at those numbers and you see he's only got a $15 million cap hit, well, $15 million cap hit, you can work around that. Mm-hmm. There you go. Danny's got his Niners hat on. You brought all the hats to the Philippines, huh?
Yeah, all of them. Look at that.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Is Danny still muted? Oh, he muted.
Yeah, I just because of the
AC. The AC.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen, but man, that would be. That would just shake things up. That would shake up the NFL. And it's probably the guy who said that it's about the Jets squeezing the Jets. Yeah, it could be about squeezing the Jets, but I think the 49ers also, if they knew that Brock Purdy was out for the whole year, or out for 3 months, maybe it makes sense. Maybe it makes sense.
Logically, they don't want to rush Purdy back, though. I
No.
mean, they don't. I mean, I'll be ready doing training camp. Nah, they don't want that. They want him fully healed, maybe 12 pounds heavier, and sitting there if they need him. So, I mean, it's hypothetical, but it's logical to think that the 49ers would be very interested in Rodgers. I think Mike Greenberg would just blow a gasket on television.
He's already having heart problems, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Might not be good. Might not be good for him.
I
saw him on the
imagine what would happen.
I saw him today on the McAfee show.
Mhm.
And he was kind of losing it then. He's like, if the Niners jump in on the Jets, it's like, dude, you're a Jets fan. And the hilarious thing is Greenberg starts talking about, well, the Jets may give a conditional pick if they don't win the Super Bowl. Win the Super Bowl? What are you talking about? The New York Jets are going to win the Super Bowl? I mean, my goodness. The Giants would leave San Francisco and move to Manila where Danny is before that would happen.
Hey, you need to have me order some of your Krug t-shirts over here. I just ordered a bunch of shirts for my channel.
Yeah.
$3.42 per shirt with the screening.
Yeah, but who's making them under what conditions?
It's just, hey, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Everything's made in, I got a buddy that owns a company, National Youth Sports, and he flies to China all the time because he's got thousands of kids, that get uniforms. And so he just, check the labels over here. Everything's made over there. But if you go over yourself and make the contacts, you get them for, really, really cheap versus waiting till they're imported to the U.S. to buy them.
Al Felipe says, Dan, go to Divisoria and buy hats for $5. Seriously. This is Dan Cochimilio. I'm outside of Lids here in Divisoria. All right, let me ask you guys. We've talked about it a lot. Does it, after tonight, guys, let's get back on the Warriors for a second.
Okay.
After tonight, does it look more likely, and I'll defer to you guys because I haven't gone through all the scenarios. Does it look more likely that we're getting Warriors Kings or less likely after tonight? More likely.
More.
And why is that? Because
I would say
what
more.
what should I root for or root against tomorrow? I want Warriors Kings.
Oh, that tomorrow shouldn't matter much in that regard. It's just going to be all about the Warriors just holding off the Pelicans. The most important thing, first and foremost, is avoiding the play-in because you want that week off. You don't want the risk of being eliminated even before the real playoffs start. But for the 6th seed, just win your last 2 games. And Sacramento might roll over Friday as well, because I think if the Grizzlies win Thursday, Sacramento's locked in for the 3 seed and will have nothing to play for in that Friday game. So right now it just looks like, just stay the course. Win your last 2 games, stay out of the play-in, and the Clippers and the Lakers own the tiebreakers. So just, let them stay tied with you and you're good.
So if
here's how it goes.
Okay, good.
Tomorrow, if the Clippers beat the Lakers, Clippers get the 5 seed. Warriors stay in the 6. Lakers move to 7. New Orleans goes.
But that's final.
If they
for
win
the
out,
year?
if they win out,
Assuming
if everybody wins out, then New Orleans would be 8. If the Lakers win tomorrow night against the Clippers, Lakers move to 5. Warriors are in the 6th spot. New Orleans 7. Clippers fall to 8. So the Warriors, all they really have to do is just win the next 2, and they're either going to be 5th or 6th. Hopefully 6th.
Do you guys agree with Tammy? She says the Lakers are looking strong heading to the playoffs.
They're good.
What do you guys think of a Warriors-Lakers playoff series if we ever saw that? And where would we see that, Si? Would that be in the conference finals?
Yes. You're not going to see that early. And the Lakers won 3 out of 4 meetings this year. They're infinitely better with this new lineup after the trade. I mean, it kind of sucks that the Warriors just sat pat for the most part. While the Lakers just completely revamped their roster and got huge. They're a big team. Mm-hmm. If Anthony Davis is fully healthy, they're dangerous. I mean, but I still fear the Clippers more. The Clippers have so much depth. Like the Clippers are 10, 11 deep, where they're just
who's going to win Lakers Clippers tomorrow night? What's this? Who is there odds on that yet? Danny, you're in the future. What does it look like? No, but I mean seriously, what's the and who's? I mean, I know it's the same arena, but who's the technical home game? Who's the home team?
Clippers, I think.
I think it's the
Clippers?
Clippers. Yeah, it's the Clippers.
You know what's interesting about that arena? I don't know if you guys have noticed. When it's Clippers, the fans are lit up. When it's Lakers, the court's lit up and the fans are in the dark.
That's a
Have you
Doc
seen that?
Rivers. That's a Doc Rivers decision. That was one of the first things he did, because Doc Rivers also covered up the banners when he took over. So you don't see the Lakers banners either when the Clippers play. The Lakers are the road team. They're favored by 1.
The Lakers are the road team.
So it's a pick.
So Billy Crystal could be sitting courtside for this
Correct.
one, right? Because
Yeah.
he's a big
and
Clipper
Bill
guy.
Simmons and
Is Paul George still out?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mark
Should be a great
Graves.
game.
Mark
That's a
Graves
great
says away. I'm going to my brother's for Easter Sunday. He says, "Write F in the F the beam in his mashed potatoes, Larry." I might do that. You know, I'm the kind of low class guy that would do something like that. And I
Is
wouldn't
your
even do
brother
it.
a member of the Federalist Society? Is he like a hardcore legal individual?
He's a judge.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because I got invited to one of their events when I was in grad school and met Antonin Scalia, the one who passed away.
Yeah.
But it was cool, man. I mean, even though, I wasn't sure.
You know,
Your brother was involved in that.
Interesting playoff matchups. If the Warriors finish 5, then
Right.
it's, KD versus Steph. But if the Lakers versus 5, it's LeBron versus KD. It's going to be fun.
I personally think that if the Warriors get the 5 seed, they're going to really struggle. I mean, maybe they could beat Phoenix, but then they get Denver in round 2, and I think they're going down. But if the Warriors get the 6 seed, and to me, then as Alex says here, Warriors Kings would be amazing. It'd be amazing, Alex, for the Warriors. But then Warriors Memphis, Memphis has talked so much S. They can't they can't handle all that smoke. You know what I mean? I mean they've I think the Warriors. The one thing about Golden State, they are the bear, and do you really want to poke them? And the Memphis Grizzlies they've got that stick and they've just jabbed it in the bear constantly. So there's like no chance the Warriors don't totally fire. So I think Warriors take down Sacramento and Memphis. And then if it's Warriors Nuggets for the right to go to the finals, I'm going to take the Warriors even over the Nuggets at that point. I don't feel great about it, but if you put the finals on the line, I'm going to take.
And just to add to that, Larry,
yeah,
if that's the matchup, the Warriors by that point have already endured 2 wars, and everything you saw in the regular season is worthless, meaningless, right? It's all about what they've done recently. So yeah, I agree. If the Warriors make the Western Conference Finals, that means they took out 2 great teams on the way, and all those issues, the road issue, everything that's plaguing them is gone. And you're left with the team that is the defending world champions. 2 series away from repeating. So I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Frank, what do you think? Warriors Kings. I mean, we're talking about how exciting that would be, but I guess if you're from Golden State's perspective, and not just Frank, all 3 of you guys, what's the primary concern if the Warriors do get Kings in the first round? We know the Kings are leading the league in scoring. We know Sabonis is a beast. We know Fox is going to have the ball in his hands. We know Keegan Murray's starting to play well. I think he had a pretty good night tonight. I have to look at the numbers, but Keegan's coming on. What, Frank, Danny, Cy, what's your number one concern about Sacramento if it is indeed Warriors Kings? It was 121-103. Kings beat the Pelicans at New Orleans tonight.
I would be concerned that the Warriors would take them lightly to the extent that they think they could get down against the Kings and then rally and come back and win. The Kings are the younger team. They're faster. They're more youthful. I think you have to go into Sacramento, because they will be the home team, with the mentality playing the fourth quarter and the first quarter and holding everybody accountable, because I don't think that in a close game, the Kings can execute better than the Warriors because of obvious reasons. I won't bet against Steph Curry. And I just think even tonight, the Warriors showed what their high looks like. I haven't seen the Kings execute like that. I've seen the Kings beat the brakes off of a lot of teams this year, and they can do that to the Warriors if they get off early. So from a defensive perspective, I think the Warriors have to take the fourth quarter mentality and apply it in the first quarter. If they do that, I think that there'll be a challenge for Sacramento. If they go in there haphazardly, thinking they can come back against Sac, I think they have another thing coming.
Sai, what do you think?
I think
What's your big concern?
The Kings their offense is so potent. And they're one of these teams that scores in bursts. They score in huge clumps where kind of like what the Warriors have done most of their dynasty, where you look up and all of a sudden 20 points are up there that you didn't see before. The Kings can do that. They can just hit a flurry of threes that quickly puts you away. That home crowd is loud. They're engaged. So if Kerr, for example, comes out with another experiment like he did tonight, where like Anthony Lamb is starting, I don't know if you can overcome that. So I really hope he takes it a little more seriously from the start. So the Kings worry me, especially on the road. I'm not feeling great about the game, but at the same time, it's hopefully the urgency will be there, and Gary Payne II gets his minutes. I love that Kerr made the adjustments. Let's just hope he continues making those adjustments.
Danny?
And I want to take umbrage real quick.
Yeah.
Gilbert Arballo in the chat writes that I'm ignoring the jaw injury from the playoff series last year. Utterly incorrect. That's a blatantly ignorant assumption. No, the Warriors had that series when Jaw was playing. You're ignoring the fact that Dylan Brooks took out Gary Payne II in a very ugly play. Gary Payne II was handling Jaw fine. So that evened out. If the jaw injury, all that did was even that series out, and the Warriors took care of business. And I still think the Warriors, if Gary Payne II doesn't get injured, would have still won that series. So no, I'm not ignoring the injury at all.
I disagree with this. I disagree with this one for sure. 3-5 says I think the Kings would rather play the Warriors than play the Lakers. I mean, really? You'd rather play a team that's been together for years as opposed to a team that's been together since like a week ago Friday? I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Danny, give me your thought. What's your main concern outside of the air conditioning?
Yeah. Yeah. I think my main concern would be that the Warriors kind of try to, win the first quarter, like Frank was talking about the first quarter. Because if they get the crowd involved, ramped up even more so than they're already going to be, if they get run off the court in the first quarter, they're down 12, 15. It's going to be an uphill. They're going to have to use all their energy to get back in the game. And then, they make their run, and then Sacramento makes another run, and then they're down by 10 again. And you just can't do that for a full 48 minutes on the road. You saw how long the way they were able to come back tonight after, chasing. It's because they're home. They can't, that's hard to do on the road. And if that happens, I think the Kings could go up 2-0. And then it's tough.
Brian Iglesias, 95.7. Brian says, and by the way, catch me all next week on 95.7 from I think 3 to 7, maybe.
Nice.
With Willard sitting in for Dibs. I'm Dibs next week. I got
All
dibs
right.
on Dibs. No,
All right.
Oh, your name's Danny. Your name's Dan. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You share my name. Okay.
I'm Dibs. Brian Iglesias, maybe with a little more of an edge. Brian Iglesias says, main concern with the Kings is perimeter defense and opponents' three-point shooting. Fox, Monk, and Herter are legit, and Sack shoots a lot of threes. Yeah. Warriors, wings, and guards need to defend better on the perimeter. It's so funny, Brian, that you bring that up, because I was going to say that I feel really confident about the Warriors beating the Kings, and I like the Warriors to win in 5. And the reason I like the Warriors to win in 5 is I just think the Warriors, the one thing with Sacramento, I talked about how the Warriors have limited bench scoring. If you can keep Malik Monk from going off, he was plus 23 tonight. He had 17 off the bench in 23 minutes. If you can throw the blanket on Malik Monk and not give him just open looks. And I think he's a guy you can snuff out, because what is Malik Monk's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", maybe?
Yeah.
He's an undersized too. So I just think that if you can somehow take him away and not let him go double digits off the bench. If he scores double digits off the bench, now the whole thing, they can relax, they can kind of just play their game. If you can turn off Monk's water and defend Herter and make him a volume shooter. And for maybe 5 to 7 minutes each half, you put GP2 on Fox. I think it's the Warriors series to lose. I think
Agreed.
I think Sacramento does not match up well with Golden State. And I think
Agreed.
GP2 has the ability to shut down all three of those guys for different stretches. And if he can,
Yeah, and plus you
Sacramento's got no
Wiggins-
shot.
Yeah, I don't
Wiggins
see
back
anybody
to
cooking him. I
guard Murray.
don't. I don't see anybody cooking GP2. I don't.
No.
His long arms, his lateral quickness, his aggressiveness, his quick hands. I mean, he was a factor tonight on Shea. I mean, Shea had to methodically kind of work through his offense, and he had 32 or something like that. But he had 20 or 21 at halftime. GP2 is a factor, and he showed that from the inception of coming back into the fold. And you know what? Dante DiVincenzo is only a level below that. So the Warriors have what they wanted in the first part of the season. Things are shaping up for them. We haven't mentioned Wiggins one time tonight.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's a long, athletic wing.
Yep.
This is not hyperbole. The Warriors have as good a chance, even against the Lakers. They have as good a chance as anybody to represent the West.
What is
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Danny.
I was going to say what's interesting is coming down to Sunday, 12:30. Probably not going to know till about 4:00 where the Warriors stand, because if you look at Sunday's games, got the Jazz and the Lakers, Clippers, Suns, Grizzlies, Thunder, and there's one other one in there. Well, we got, of course, the Warriors.
What are you
Blazers,
looking at? The Manila Gazette right there?
No, just the schedule on the games, because that loss to Minnesota the other night, that could come back to haunt them, because had they won that game, they'd be sitting in a really good position right now because the last game against Portland, you were hoping that maybe they could kind of tinker, figure out where they want to land. They have no idea, and everybody's playing at the same time. So they can't go in there and throw the game, say, oh, we're going to finish 6th. They could slip all the way to, 8th or the spot that we've all talked about, 6th. I like 6th, for obvious reasons, what I've been saying for a while. I think it's the clearest path, playing Memphis or Sac and
Easily.
then
Easily.
Memphis. You don't want Phoenix and then Denver. But here's the thing that I thought about this, and I thought if you finish 5th, it's a tough series against the Suns. 7th is almost better because you got a home game and you'll have to win one of 2. But if you win the first game, you get a little bit of time off and you get the 2 seed. You face the Grizzlies. It's the same as the 6, really. It's just it's reversed. You got Memphis first instead of Sac.
Injuries can happen. You don't want to.
It's true.
Consider the unknown. No, you want to sit back. The best thing for the Warriors is for Steph Curry to get a week off.
Yeah, right? and give Wiggins time to practice with the team.
1 through, the 6th seed is what they want, Dan.
I know. I've been saying 6 all along, but I
no
frankly,
play-in scenario works for the Warriors.
I think the toughest matchup round 1 would be Phoenix. That's just my with a healthy
That would be
KD.
tough. Yeah, it would be, but they could beat them.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't have a good feel for that just because I don't have a good feel for that team with KD, and KD's obviously freaking great.
Yeah.
Tammy McDaniel says Warriors record speaks volumes. They're not a good road team. Tammy, that they're not a good road team in the regular season. I don't think, as far as road team in the playoffs, this is a team. Cy could probably give you the quote, the stat. How many series, Cy, has it been where the Warriors have taken at least one road game? And it's like 27 straight series or some crazy number, isn't it?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but yeah,
it's a lot. They've won a road game in almost every series. Here's the question that I would have, and this is a good one, I think, from Central Valley Kings. He said Warrior fans will buy expensive tickets on the road, and there'll be more Warrior fans at Golden One than we expect. What do you guys think of that? Is Sacramento, the Warrior fan, the Bay Area fan has a lot of money. There's a lot of the
Larry,
Warriors.
I have that stat for you.
You do?
If this is correct, 27 consecutive playoff series where the Warriors have won a road playoff game. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. So, I mean, to say the Warriors aren't a good road team, they haven't been a good road team in the regular season. But, I mean, I kind of expect them to flip a switch and be good on the road in the playoffs. We shall see. Can teams do such a thing? But what do you think of this one? Will Kings fans, because maybe, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. One, there's not as many things to do in Sacramento, and so people that have a little money that have tickets, they don't have as much. They have more disposable income to spend on boats and stuff like that. Where people in the Bay Area maybe have higher mortgages, and so maybe they don't have as much disposable income. I just remember living in Sac. There was a shit ton of people that had boats in their front, in their front driveway. There's a lot of boats up there. People are going to Lake Comanche and Lake this and Lake that, Tahoe. But what do you think? Will the Kings fans sell their tickets to Warriors fans? Will the Warrior fans buy up the tickets? Will Sacramento have a big home court advantage, or will they have none? How do you guys see that? Because to me, that's going to be really interesting. Don't you think?
I know the Sac crowd.
Frank, you were up there.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
What do you think?
They're going to show up. They're going to show up with their beam lighters, and you might get a couple of cowbells for nostalgic reasons. They love that team. Golden One is one of the best arenas in the NBA. They haven't been in the playoffs in 16 years. They want this. So the Warriors are going to have to do Golden State Warrior type things to beat them. And they've done it. Imagine the Warriors going into Boston and clinching the championship on that home court. So, the Warriors can be impervious to fans and beans and cowbells and everything else. But I have nothing but respect for the Kings fans. They will show up. Other Kings fans will buy tickets that some King fans might want to sell. They got money up there. So the Warriors are going to have to do it by themselves and not necessarily with Warrior fans.
Nate, Golden State 49ers says, yeah, this run is going to rest on the shoulders of Kuminga, Wiggins, and GP2. And then to close out in the finals, Steph and Clay are going to erupt. It does sound, Golden State Niners there. He sounds like somebody who knows what he's talking about. I mean, the picture he's painting here, I could see that. Could you guys see that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Maybe Cy might know this more. I haven't really talked about Clay with the
You looking for edibles in Manila?
Yeah.
What is the deal there? Is do you get your hand chopped off if you have weed? What's the?
Oh, I don't know. Not my area expertise.
Easy there, Griner. All right. Go ahead, Danny.
I'm just wondering what's going on with Clay. Is that back going to be an issue for him?
That's a great question, because I was literally just reading about that right now. According to multiple reports, he was kept out for precautionary reasons. They're saying unless something crazy happens, he'll be good to go for the last two games, and that this was just a last-minute flare-up that happened during warm-ups. So they're playing it down, is what I'm trying to say.
By the way, as we're sitting here, there's a report out that the receiver for the Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins, is set to be released and supposedly has LA in his sights. Now, is that LA Rams, LA Chargers? Chargers. So it looks like you may see DeAndre Hopkins joining Keenan Allen and the boys there in Southern California. Nate Dogg says, I like that Frank always keeps it real and gives Sack some love. Are you kidding me? Frank had the dungeon on 1140, man.
Come on.
Seriously.
There is no Frank Rant without Sack. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, seriously. You can take Sack out of Frank Red, but you can't take Frank Red out of Sack.
That's my family, man. That's my family.
And the dungeon was basically a Sunday night show on
Sunday night.
So this was back when radio used to actually program weekend shows. They cared about every hour. Yeah. And then did they blow you out so that they could start having like infomercial shows like sell the hour blocks?
Well, let me give you a quick story. 2008, we had the bank closures and everybody was losing their job. And I used to go do basketball camps in Thailand, all right, at this international school. So I'm number one in the ratings, mind you, for like 10 straight years. I'm killing it. And my producer at the time, who's a big time star in Sacramento, he knew they were going to fire me. They had fired the PD.
Can we name him?
Yeah, Sean Cunningham.
Sean Cunningham, the great Sean Cunningham.
The great Sean Cunningham.
Now working TV for.
I mean, listen.
CBS maybe.
Yes, listen. What? I think.
Good dude.
I think Fox. Fox.
Okay.
One of the most talented guys I've ever been around.
Great, salt of the earth human being.
Absolutely. So they basically told him, if you tell Red, then we're gonna fire you. So I'm kind of like in Thailand chilling. I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? And he didn't tell me, but he kind of alluded, and I was like, oh crap. All right. So they fired the PD. I laid him off, whatever. The great Mike Ramey, my guy, and hired somebody who didn't know me, who had no qualms getting rid of me. And they didn't let me.
Jeff McMurray, is that what it was?
I don't remember the guy's name,
okay.
But that sounds familiar. But they didn't let me back on air because I think that they realized had I got back on air, it would have been like crazy outrage.
Right.
So I went on vacation and that
silenced you.
Yes. So I love Sacramento, and I'm gonna tell you, I was so nervous the first time I got on air on KHGK. I was talking boxing. And I made the mistake of calling Evander Holyfield Evanderfield. Oh man, Sacramento literally allowed me to develop into whatever I became, and I'm so proud that they have a team and they have an opportunity to get back in the playoffs. But I think that it's tough for me. I wouldn't do it, but it's tough to bet against the Warriors based on their history and based on their ability to rise to the occasion. But I'm looking for a great series. And if the Warriors take them lightly, then Sac can win. But I think as they're constituted, I think Golden State has enough experience still to beat them.
When I went to Sac State, so I graduated high school in '88, right? So, my dad, I was a total mediocre student, and I was thinking about going to San Jose State.
But you didn't care.
San Diego State.
Larry.
I got I got high score. I got high test scores and low grades. Mm-hmm. So almost every report card said the same fucking thing. You know what? If he applied himself, he'd be really good. If he just applied himself, he would do fine. He actually tried yesterday and he got an A. So I'm getting all that crap. Anyway, but unlike 2023, you could be a shitty student in 1988 and still go to college, like a 4-year.
Right.
There's no such thing anymore. I mean, now if you have, you got to have a 3.9 to get into San Diego State. When I was in high school, you could have a 2.9 if you had a good SAT. You could get into San Diego State.
True, that is true.
So that was me, right? I was the guy with the probably more like a 2.6. But anyway, so I applied to San Jose State, San Diego State, San Francisco State. My dad's like, "Why don't you apply to Sac State? Your sister goes to Davis, and it's close by." And I'm like, Sac State. And all I could think of is like Sac State's going to be like 5 guys sitting in the back of a pickup dipping Copenhagen, and it's just going to be it's just going to suck. And it's going to be hot as hell, right? And so I just like, Dad, I don't want to go up there. He's like, come on, they're having River City Days this week, and we'll go up and we'll walk around campus. We'll check it out. I'm like, all right. So we walked up there. Well, it's springtime. Well, dude, there are so many hot chicks at Sac State. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I don't think some come from the Bay, some come from Sac, some come from the Placerville. But I mean, just a lot of attractive women. And I remember sitting there going, you know what? I could see Sac State. I see there's some attractiveness to Sac State. My dad's laughing, and so I went up there. And one of the only reasons I went up there is because they had pro basketball at that time. They had the Sacramento Kings. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. At least I'll be able to watch, a team that, in a city where they have their own team, blah, blah, blah. And I went to the first game, like a Warrior Kings preseason game at the first year of Arco Arena. It just opened up. And I saw a guy from my dorm, and he was serving, he had a waiter's thing on. He was serving people in, the courtside seats. So I see him and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? How'd you get this job? He's like, oh yeah, it's an awesome job, dude. All you got to do is, you work for tips. You get like, $15 an hour, whatever it was. But you also get tips and you just serve drinks. You bring beer to the people in the court side, but you only have to work quarters 1, 2, and 3. The fourth quarter, you can just sit and watch the game. And I'm like, oh my God, the NBA, all I really care about is the fourth quarter. So I'm like, get me a job, right? So he got me a job, and I'm working at the Kings games. And man, that team was so bad. Jerry Reynolds was the coach. And then Jerry Reynolds got fired after 28 games. He went 7-21. They brought in Dick Motta, who was kind of a taskmaster.
Yeah.
And this team, I can remember it like it was yesterday. Danny Ainge, Antoine Carr, Vinny Del Negro. They had Purvis Ellison, who they'd taken first in the draft. Greg Kite, Rodney McRae, Ralph Sampson was on this team. Kenny Smith, who you obviously see with Charles now on TNT. Wayman Tisdale, Henry Turner, who became kind of a cult following there. Anyway, they had like a team that was really bad, but I was at every single game. I was at every single game. The next year, here comes Travis Mays and Dwayne Coswell and Anthony Bonner, and I did an interview with Lionel Simmons, and I'm holding the mic for Lionel Simmons, and the announcer, this guy John Hank, goes up to him, and he was known as the L Train because he's from Philly. He played at LaSalle.
Yeah.
And this guy John Hank's like, welcome to Sacramento, Lionel. And he's like, yeah, thank you. And he's like, they call you the L Train. Here we have the light rail. Is there any chance that you would change your nickname to the light rail?
Oh, no. Oh, man.
I mean, I'm like, at the time, I'm like, what? And he started laughing. But anyway, it was just such an enjoyable time. The Kings had a really, really bad team, and the Warriors were bad too. But then the Kings got good. The Warriors got good with Weber and all that, but then they bottomed out. And the Kings got good in the early 2000s. And then the Warriors obviously are great now. We've never gotten Kings Warriors good at the same time. And
Ever.
I just really believe that what we're going to see here in the next 2 weeks, if the Warriors do play the Kings, is we're going to see the birth of a rivalry that is going to last for, I would say, at least a decade or more. This is going to be the new rivalry between the Warriors and the Kings because the passion for both teams is real. The fans have dug in. They've all experienced a ton of freaking pain with losing. And, look at the way this thing's going to go. Either Sacramento as the 3 seed is going to gag and the Warriors are going to roll right by them, or the Warriors' run is going to be ended at the hands of the Sacramento Kings. Either way, this is going to set up for some bitterness, some animosity, and a lot of great sports talk commentary, and I just can't wait for it. I'm absolutely here for it. I'm so excited about this. I think this could be right there with some of the best, moments in Bay Area sports history because we've never gotten it, and there's tremendous passion on both sides.
You'll probably see, I'm predicting you'll see one guy at one of the arenas wearing a hat like you saw with the Giants A's, some guy wearing a half A's hat. There'll be some fool wearing a half Kings, half Warriors hat.
You know what, too? That Golden One Arena and the surrounding areas, that's a good time around there, man. I mean,
yeah, it is.
All the restaurants got kind of an open area, for concerts and outside post games and stuff like that. So both organizations did things the right way. I mean, I think the Warriors outside plaza rivals anybody. I think Milwaukee's is kind of cool also. But it should be fun. If we can get to where we want to be with the Kings and the Warriors locking horns, I think it's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of weeks.
You guys remember the
arena,
San Diego Sports Arena?
Yeah. I've been there.
When the Clippers were down there on Sports Arena Boulevard. I was in college down there at San Diego. I went to a Warriors Clippers game. They had Joe Barry Carroll, World Be Free, and Bernard King.
Oh, I love that
Sonny
team.
Parker,
Those
Romar,
are my guys.
Purvis Short, Pogo Stick, Larry Smith. But crazy story. My roommate and I were at this game, and we're with some crazy guy that we run into, and he's got these weird looking glasses, kind of like the one I'm wearing right now, but bigger, Coke bottles. And he was saying he was totally blind, without his glasses. And I don't know what prompted my roommate and I, but we took his glasses and started running. And this guy,
that's a hate crime. That's a hate crime.
Yeah, the guy chased us outside. We were literally running outside the arena.
You took a guy's glasses, Danny. You took a guy's glasses.
Foolish 20-year-old, just I thought the guy was going to kill us. I really did. We finally just like, here, man, this guy was going crazy. Like, I'm here, just, come on, Rob, let's get out of here. This guy's going to kill us.
I want to kill you too.
I know. It was like, what the, I don't know what we were doing. The guy literally, but I was surprised. I thought he couldn't see. And then how could he catch us? We were pretty fast.
There were some, it's funny. These teams have been bad for so long, but man, there was, I don't know, maybe it's just, it's a weird thing. There was never any, like the Giants right now are bad, but there's like kind of bitterness about it. When the Niners are bad, there's like more of a bitterness. When the Warriors were bad, it was still joyous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like really kind of hard to explain to people, but we took our Larry Hughes and we were just happy with it. You know what I mean? Or
I don't know. We're happy. I don't know
if happy, but I mean, like, okay,
you accepted it. Yeah.
Now, granted, it was 1980 and I was 10 years old, but I loved the Warriors with JB and World Free and Bernard King and John Lucas and Sonny Parker and Purvis Short and Mr. Mean, Larry Smith and Lorenzo Romar, who later obviously became a great coach. Clifford Ray was still on that team. But you know what I'm saying? It was like the Warriors were fun, even though they lost a ton of games for a lot of years. For some reason, it was still fun. I'm not sure why. I mean, Frank, I can remember sitting there with you. We'd go, we're sitting there in media row. The Warriors were getting beat a lot of those times. And a lot of times they were getting like the other team's C- effort because they were going to play the Sonics tomorrow night and they're going to play the Blazers the next night and the Lakers or whatever later. And so they would kind of take it easy on the Warriors and kind of play down to them. But the fans still would get into it. And it was always fun. I mean, I don't know why it was always fun, but it always was fun. It wasn't like this, like people who like now, if the Warriors became bad like they used to be, I think the cost of the arena and the spoiled nature of the fans who are used to winning, now they wouldn't be able to hang with it. But then it was like
be like the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, then it was so much like, hey, you know what? They lost, but hey, it was a good game. It was, I mean, we weren't so. I can remember doing those post games. It wasn't this gigantic negative fest. It was like, hey, this guy looked good, and hey, those guys look good, and it's kind of a weird thing to describe to people. Because it's like the Niner fans are all or nothing. Mm-hmm. And the Giants fans have gotten to the point where it's like, hey, man, we're either good or we're not. The Warriors fans were nothing for so long that all was not even an option. And it was just like, hey, we were just kind of, I don't know, we were just kind of happy with what we had.
Let me ask you this, though, because how are the fans regarding the Niners in the late 70s? They
were like, they didn't care at all. Like you could go to church and like people at church would be like, hey, you want my tickets? I'm not going.
So it wasn't even fun. It was just apathy.
Seriously. I mean, it was before answering machines, but if we had answering machines, the phone used to ring on Sunday morning and my dad would be like, somebody's calling to offer us their Niner tickets. And it just ended in 1981. As soon as the Niners got good, nobody ever called again offering Niner tickets.
I have a theory about the Warriors, and I think that when you look around the country and you consider, well, what are the best basketball markets? And it's usually the markets where there's a great participation in youth basketball. And the Bay Area, particularly the East Bay, and I assume as the Warriors continue to evolve, maybe San Francisco to a certain degree. But you got to think of it. Oakland Tech girls have just won their second state championship in a row. Oakland High School is the state champion this year. If you go through the tunnel, and Larry, you go through 24, and those middle class, upper middle class families over there, they play some excellent basketball.
Aiden Mahaney.
I mean, right. I mean,
good call.
I coached against Ertz when he was in high school. He
At
played
Monte Vista.
he played in Monte Vista. So the Bay Area, particularly the East Bay, they have a rabid basketball fan base. So when they went to the Warrior games, they were there to have fun and watch basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And they were totally engaged with the fans. I mean, with the team. If they won or not, they still had a good experience because they're watching high-level basketball. And I think that was part of the engagement factor. It would be scary if this iteration of the Warriors were not good in San Francisco. That would not be a good look.
You remember Todd Lichty, right? And he played for the Nuggets, Stanford.
Yeah, he got in a car accident.
Played against him in college, yeah.
I played against him in high school, yeah. And then my brother played, he was a little older, obviously, than me, but Doug True. Do you remember Doug True? Played at College Park, went to Cal, and then
what year are we talking, Danny? 70s, mid-70s?
Late 70s, 70s.
I was in New York at that time.
70, actually, Doug True was 76, I believe. But he went to Cal, and then I think he had a NBA career, I believe. But yeah, tall guy.
I mean, the Bay Area's had a lot of good players. I mean, the guys that I always thought of as the best players, Chris Monk, Terrence Mullins, played for Reardon.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Padilla who played for Reardon, who was a great player at SF State. A guy named
Levy Middlebrooks.
Levy Middlebrooks, yes,
Yeah.
Levy.
Yeah.
Levy Middlebrooks had the most ridiculous, powerful legs I've ever seen on a high school kid. I mean, it was just the most ridiculous thing ever. He was just awesome. He played at Pepperdine with Eric White, who played at SH. But yeah, and then of course eventually Drew Gordon, Aaron Gordon. But Reardon was kind of the spot. My guy that was my year, Wayman Strickland. He was a hell of a player.
Yeah, very good player. Yeah.
I played against him when I was at Stewart Hall, and he was at West Portal Lutheran. We used to have these great. I played in a CYO All-Star game in 7th grade, and it was like a big deal when he used to lay it in and slap the backboard. That's what you would do before you could dunk. You know what I mean? You just beat somebody to the baseline,
right.
You put it off the glass, and then you slap that backboard.
If you could do that, yeah.
If you could do that, if you could get up that high.
Yeah.
But
hey, speaking of getting,
there was a lot of good Bay Area basketball. I mean, Phil Chenier was from Berkeley.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really, going back 60s,
Jason
70s,
Kidd,
80s.
of course. Probably
Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
I mean, SI had a bunch of guys. Jeff Tilgen played at Cal. Paul Fortier played for the UW Huskies. There were Dave Wilson. Do you ever remember Dave Wilson, Frank, who played for St. Ignatius? He was terrific. He was an amazing player. Class of 83, 6'3" guard. But
where did he go to college?
He went. That's a good question.
Did he go to Arizona State?
I'm not sure, but Dave definitely played college ball. He was really good.
All right.
But yeah, there was a lot of good players. And then you would play. When I was 10, SI had a team. It's funny. When I was a little kid, I didn't really want to be a pro player. I wanted to be like a high school player because I always went to all the high school games. And so those high school players were like my heroes, right? Mm-hmm. And I can remember SI played Emmanuel Arts in the TOC. And Emmanuel Arts had Dwayne Poley. Do you remember Dwayne Poley, who played for Pepperdine? And they had Eric Sandel. Remember Eric Sandel? Anyway, Emmanuel Arts came out. They had like 9 guys on their team that could jam. And they came out in the layup line, and they're throwing down reverses, and guys are leaning in, jamming. And SI put a press on them and wound up beating them by like 20. And I couldn't even believe it. I was like, I could not believe what I was watching. But yeah, the Bay Area's got a great high school tradition. I mean, and I'll tell you, what was really fun days is when I was a little kid, we would spend the summertime. We'd go to summer camp, play strikeout on the walls, either anywhere in the Sunset or Richmond. You just go get a tennis ball, your glove, a bat. You just play strikeout all day. And then at summertime, at nighttime, we used to hit either Potrero Hill or Kezar for the summer pro-am. And they would let, the few NBA players would play in that, and some of the best high school players would play in that. and it was awesome. I mean, it was incredible watching the Pro-Am, and I can remember seeing Gary Payton in that Pro-Am as when he was going to Oregon State, and Jason Kidd when he was in high school playing in the Pro-Am. There was a
St.
lot
Joe's, yeah. How about
a lot
that?
of great
I
players.
won a championship in the Pro-Am.
Did you?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was it Bay Raiders or San Francisco or
Bay Raiders, yeah.
Bay
I won a
Raiders?
championship, yeah.
Wow.
Do you
Um,
remember?
how about-
Do you remember this guy, Frank? Danny, before you jump in,
Yeah.
there was a guy who I knew from around town. I used to work with him at the Stonestown YMCA, and his name was Snake Jones.
Yes, I know Snake.
And Snake was older, so
Right.
I mean, he was definitely older than us. I mean, I would
Right.
say Snake's probably, if he's still with us, he's probably in his 70s now.
Right.
But Snake worked at the Stonestown YMCA, and he was a really good basketball player. And he was like a guy with real size. I think he might have been 6'10", 6'11".
Yep.
He played in that Pro-Am and would just school guys.
Yeah.
I mean, because he was an older guy, and he knew all the tricks of the trade. But it was just a great vibe, man. You're sitting there at Kezar, nobody paid a penny. You
Dell
walked
Dent played
in.
on my team.
Who did?
Dell Dent played on my team.
Dell Demps.
wow.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Former Warrior.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, it was just so much fun, man. And then guys, Kezar, you played on Kezar. They had the springs in the floor, and
Yeah,
so
you could really
guys
jump, yeah.
guys could get up and just throw down jams left and right. So anyway, just a little blast from the past. Fun memories for sure. I loved summertime in the city. It would be foggy, and you sit there and go watch Bay Raiders or whoever, and then take the 29 Sunset back home.
I got a question for you guys. High school. Who do you think's got in the Bay Area, the top high school athletes? I'm thinking McClimates and Sarah.
Ever?
Sarah's had Brady, Swan, and Bonds, and David Bakhtiari, the tackle for the Packers. Bakhtiari, however you say it.
David Bakhtiari.
But the McClimates had Bill Russell, Frank Robinson, Veda Pinson. I'm trying to think who else they had. But I mean,
A
Hall
number
of
of
Famers.
guys.
Paul
But, I mean,
Silas.
Yeah,
Paul Silas,
Yeah. So I mean, those two come to my mind.
I mean, O'Dowd had Brian Shaw, who was tremendous.
Yeah.
They also had Jackson, who was incredible. I forget his first name, but Jackson, who played for O'Dowd under Steve Phelps, was incredible. Mike Phelps, I mean.
He went to DePaul.
Yeah, he was really good. Ray Jackson, I think, or no, not Ray Jackson. Ray Jackson was part of the Fab Five.
Yeah, he was a really good player though.
But
those
he was
guys,
really good.
I mean, you're talking Bill Russell and Frank Robinson, top of their sport in all. But then you got Bonds and Brady.
Well, and Greg Jeffries. Greg Jeffries was an awesome, young player.
Plus Lynn Swan, he's another Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Lynn Swan. I mean, the St. Nations
Amari
had
Jackson
Fouts.
in the NFL now. Cornerback, Amari Jackson. He went to
Yeah.
Kerr.
I mean, the kid Trammell went to St. Ignatius.
That Oakland school, though, when I was playing at Clayton Valley High School, the Oakland Athletic League, the old OAL, I mean, it was loaded. It was just Skyline, McClimates, Castlemont.
Antonio Davis went to McClimates.
Yeah, he was great.
They
He was a
just
hell of a
like
player. Remember Terrence
unbelievable.
Newman? Terrence Newman, you ever, or was his name? Was it Terrence Newman? Or was he? I'm thinking of somebody else. But Newman, there was a guy who played for Reardon named Newman. It was just freaking awesome. I mean, Reardon had a lot of good basketball players for sure. And if you go far back, I mean, where did DiMaggio and those guys? They probably went to Galileo or something, right?
Balboa had a lot of good players too.
Balboa. There was a guy my year named Kenny Kent. I don't know if you know Kenny Kent, but he was really good. I think he played for Mission. But there was a lot of there was no question. We used to have the St. Ignatius used to have a holiday tournament called the Sand Dune Classic, and all the team, Lincoln, Balboa, all the best AAA teams would play. There would be teams that would come over from the East Bay that would play. There's just an awful lot of good players. I'll tell you the guy that I thought was one of the best high school players I've ever seen. And he didn't play in the Bay Area, but he played against the Bay Area. In the state title game, it was O'Dowd against Crenshaw and John Williams.
Marcus Johnson went to Crenshaw, right?
Not hot Rod Williams, but John Hot Plate Williams, who played for the Wizards or for the Bullets, I guess, back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you remember him? He was just awesome.
Yeah,
he was like a
LSU.
6'9". Yeah, he was like a 6'9" guy with great handle and passing and the whole deal.
Hey, who was the
spectacular.
When I was in high school, the talk of, the recruit of the year was Bill Cartwright out of Elk Grove to USF, and they got James Hardy and Winford Boynes, and they were number one in the country. But I'm trying to remember the coach. Dan Bawamini took over the other guy that was he recruited all those guys. It wasn't Bawamini. Who was the coach at USF before Bawamini?
It was
can't remember his name.
It was what was his name? His daughter. I worked with his daughter at Sports Byline USA, but he was a really good coach.
Yeah, he was really
Bob
good coach.
Portman? No, Bob. No, he played for the Warriors. No, man, it eludes me.
Yeah,
I will say this: when I was a little kid, I can remember going up to the hilltop and watching Wallace Bryant and Quentin Daly, and USF used to pack them in. I mean, there would be people sitting on the baseline. I mean, it's really hard to believe that USF basketball in the 70s was as popular as it was, but it was packed. Right. I mean, totally packed all the time. Yeah.
Oh, I love to go watch games there. That was such an awesome team. They were like 30-0 or something, and then they got blitzed by UNLV in the tournament. I mean, they just got run off the court.
Yeah. We'll call it right here, guys. You guys got a final thought on the night? Warriors obviously get a nice win. They're revving it up for the playoffs. There's rumors on the Aaron Rodgers Niner front. The Giants, of course, off today. They'll get tomorrow against the Chi Sox. But you got a final thought on the day?
I'm just looking forward to Friday's game against Sacramento. I think we can learn a lot from that. And, I just want to see that game.
It's a great call. That's a great call.
You got a thought on this one side before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I just I agree with Frank that the Friday game's huge. But this game tonight was massive, man. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. This was a big Warriors victory. Crazy that it's the final game of the season at Chase Center. It's over. I mean, it's another season in the books. This was, I think, in the dynasty, this was the most stressful of all the years. Certainly the most frustrating of all the years. But, the conclusion remains to be seen. So I'm excited for what's to come.
Danny, I think it was Bob Gaylord.
I don't think it was. Yeah, that maybe
Bob Gaylord, whose daughter was Debbie, and I worked with her.
Yeah.
My
My final thought was, it wasn't. There's so many turning points in a basketball game, but the Warriors were down 92-89. Draymond Green was at the free throw line. He missed the free throw. Moses Moody goes up with his left hand, tomahawks it to himself, like just rips it to him, and goes up for a two-handed jam over his college teammate at Arkansas. I just thought that was such a key moment because it it just fired up everybody.
Agreed.
And, for a 6'5" guy to be,
6'6". Well,
is he 6'6"? Whatever he is.
He's got 7'1" wingspan. That's really all that matters.
But to be in lane number 2, really, he's boxed out, and he goes up because if you look at the replay, the guy's kind of got a hold of his right hand, so he's only got his left hand, but he didn't just he just said, "I'm here to stay in this lineup." That was a statement. Yeah. I mean, even more so than the 3-pointers, it was the tenacity that he played with that said, you always want to knock down the door when you're a bench guy to force the coach to play you. I think tonight Moody said, "Look, I'm just going to let my play speak for itself. And if you want to, you can't sit me anymore. You're just not going to be able to sit me."
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I hope so too, because I went off on that earlier today. Velo says, here's a donation. Trey and Curry have similar career starts, also seen together in a couple of games. Trey MVP in 2024. Trey Lance and Steph Curry?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Well, because Steph got hurt early. Maybe that's his his thinking.
But I am really glad Dan brought that up, man, because it is the hardest offensive rebound to get. Is that the foul line when a free throw is missed, and to get the offensive rebound. The Warriors did it twice. Looney got one of those later in the game too. But yeah, I'm so happy that Moses Moody took advantage of his minutes tonight, and I'm just so happy Kerr gave it to him for once. It was a relief.
Yeah, I want to see Moody. I want to see Moody used off the bench as a scorer, and I'd love to. It's not just I want to see him get minutes. I'd love to see them empower him to be more of like a first or second option when he's in there, because he's that kind of a scorer. Haruku Atoki says Cal has hired Mark Madsen as the coach. Man, I mean, how about that? Cal going with Stanford guys. They went with Jared Haas, and now they're going with, or was it Stanford that hired Haas?
Yeah.
Who was it that had Haas? So Stanford hired Haas, and now
Cal
hires
Stanford also hired Troy Taylor, former Cal quarterback. So they're just stealing each other's
from my
guys.
Sac State.
Yeah.
Couple last ones in the chat. We got this one. Damn, Krug putting in that work today. Got in some time with Grant, Damon, and now Frank. And of course, don't forget Danny and Cy. And then also we've got one more in here. Spencer says Larry will not ban Kings fans. He loves them. I used to love them. I think they're going to be annoying as shit by the end of this series.
Your brother is pissing you off, man. I was
going to say, how much does it have to do with your brother?
I keep getting this light the beam. I'm like, you know what? I'm coming to Natomas and I'm going to kick some ass. All right? Like that.
You guys got to, if this comes to fruition, you got to bring him on and have you know how mayors have these bets, you know, you guys have to have a bet, somebody's got to wear something weird or, do something.
We should do something, because also his son my nephew goes to Gonzaga, and he's now like a beat writer covering the Zags.
Ooh. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so okay. I'm real happy for him.
Yeah.
Hey, one high school we forgot to mention, Al Felipe says Jefferson High School in Daly City. And this is a good one. Richard Rodgers, who was a hell of a player. Reggie Camp, tremendous player. Tyrese Knox went to Nebraska. If you remember him, he was awesome. Tyrese Knox. He might have been one of the best high school. We're talking about high school football now, but Jefferson definitely had some big time players for sure. Yeah. All right, guys, good to see all of you. Danny, we'll let you go first because the AC is always churning. But
I understand. Thanks for having me all the way from the Philippines. So
when are you coming back?
I'll be back Tuesday, the 11th.
All right. Well, we'll keep sending you invites if you want to jump in. We'll talk a little Giants maybe tomorrow after the Chisak extravaganza. It might be, since that's the daytime, it might be in the middle of the night for you.
Yeah, it says I got to get up at. I wake up and it's it's hard to miss the games. I just enjoy them, and so 2 a.m. I get up, watch the game.
On what? Your phone?
Either the phone or the TV, because I got this new cable. So I went out and bought a smart TV. So I just got the MLB and the NBA app. So I was watching the Warrior game on a big screen today. It was kind of cool.
Look at you. All right, Danny, have a great night.
All right, you guys too. Good to see everybody.
Take care.
Good to see you,
Cy, good seeing you, man. Have a good night.
Brother.
We'll talk to you soon. Frank, good to see you. Thanks for hanging in long term with us. Long show, 2 hours and 8 minutes. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, brother.
There you go. All right. Good live stream. Really enjoyed it. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all of you guys in the chat. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Pig and a Pickle is the title sponsor of the Krug Show, and we want to thank them. They do a great job. Check them out in Emeryville. Check them out. They're in Emeryville, open Wednesday through Sunday. They're open 7 days a week. In Corte Madera, the best brisket in all of Northern California. Pig and a Pickle.
So New York style sausage was started over 7 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krug Show, and hope you guys enjoyed the show today. We have a brand new contest starting on the channel, and it's sponsored by the New York Style Italian Sausage Company. And we are going to, let's see if we can put this in there, if I can kind of move myself around. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'm going to have to do this another way. I guess we'll have to do this another way because we have this on the screen. But we are going to, we're going to have basically video calls. We're going to take video calls, at least one per show, throughout the months of April and May. And anybody who participates in the video calls will have a chance to qualify for the grand prize, which is going to be lunch for two at New York Style Italian Sausage Factory right there in Northern California on Tasman Street in Sunnyvale, with myself and Pasquale in attendance, and then a full swag bag from New York Style Italian Sausage, as well as a box of sausage of your choice. So the way it's going to work is we're going to take a video call on our live streams throughout the next 2 months. And when we put the video call link in the chat, we will also put on the board the rules to the contest. But basically, all you got to do is participate via a video call. And whoever participates will decide at the end of the show who we thought was the best video caller of the show. And that person will qualify for the grand prize, which is a box of sausage, and not just one sausage, a whole box of all kinds of different sausage, and lunch for two at the New York Style Italian Sausage Factory with myself and the great Pasquale. So we are going to have that, and we will be doing that throughout the next couple months. So anytime in our live streams, we'll start putting up the video link. You just hit that link, join us on the show, and then at the end of the show, we'll just decide who is the best video caller, and then we will have that person qualify. And at the end of the couple months here, we'll have a bunch of qualifiers. We'll have a big show with all of our qualifiers on it, and then we'll pick a grand prize winner out of all of our qualifiers to win the grand prize, and that is lunch for myself and Pasquale and you and your guest at New York Style Italian Sausage Factory right there in Sunnyvale. All right, let's read the starred chats. In fact, Mark Graves, one of our channel members, says, Krug, where are the star chats? Well, they're coming. They are coming. Let's go. Let's go right now with the starred chats. Okay, so we've got this one from Gabriel Lopez. Says, Krug's pulling an 18-hour shift today. LOL. Helps me get through my day. Thanks, Larry. But you're lazy, Larry. You're lazy. Thank you, Gabriel. We got this one. David Rodriguez. Larry, take your ass to sleep, dog. All right, that's good. Let's go to the more starred chats. We got this one from earlier. Bryant Chan. Damn, Krug putting in that work today. Got in some time with Grant, Damon, and Frank. I think Grant was yesterday. Today I was on with Raj, Damon, Frank, Danny, and Cyrus. SG Sports Talk. Light the beam. Fuck that. Central Valley Kings. Warriors fans will buy expensive tickets on the road. There will be more than expected. We'll see. I got a little pushback on that. 95.7 Brian. I don't know what's worse, the Giants-A's split hat or the Warriors-Kings split jersey. Both make me want to wash my eyes out. There you go. And grilled cheese in the house. As I remember when the Warriors marketed ticket sales by the good opponents you'd get to see. Oh, yeah. Come watch Kobe and Shaq and the Lakers. There you go. Eddie says, Larry, give us your weather report impressions. Oh, man. I don't know if I can do impressions at this point. You got to get me earlier in the day. Nate Dogg, the more we say light the beam, the more Larry hates the Kings. Now, I have a fondness for the Kings. I really do. But I'm a Warrior guy, and I'm always going to be a Warrior guy, and that's just the way it is. So, and now that my brother's in Sac and he's rooting, hard for the Kings, it makes it even easier for me to say, fuck the Kings. I'm all about the Warriors. Thanks to everybody in the chat. We eclipsed 16,000 subs yesterday, and I've yet to put out the email, but I'm going to. Let's see where we're at today. If you've yet to hit like and subscribe, please do. We got 120 people still hanging in the room. If you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do. If you hit like, it just helps more people find the show. If you hit subscribe, every time we go live, you'll be notified on your phone. And then, of course, you want to be a channel member. It's $4.99 a month. And thank you to our channel members for supporting the channel that way. So now we're already over 16,100. How about that? Yesterday, we passed 16,000. Today, we are at 16,101. So that is impressive right there. We picked up 101 subscribers just in the last day alone. So anyway, appreciate all of you. We're really loving doing this. Hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Mark Graves, yes, cooler on the coast, slightly warm inland. But it's going to be, it's going to be a little warmer inland, but it will be cooler on the coast. So make sure you check that out. Nate Dogg says 20K in no time. Can we get to 20K by the draft? I don't know. I'm expecting some major draft shows. We had like 700-800 people in the room during the second and third round of the draft last year when the channel had, at that point, maybe 5,000 subs. So now we got 3 times that. We got 16,000 subs. We might really blow up during the draft. I'm going to go live during round 1, 2, 3, and as much as I can on Saturday of rounds 4 through 7. We'll bring you a lot of draft coverage. I did some videos today on some players that I like. There's a video that I put out, or maybe my son's putting out tomorrow. And my buddy Tony Pauline, who covers the NFL draft, longtime NFL scout, he's really connected. And he put out a report this week saying that Keitrell Clark from Louisville, who's a nickel corner and a damn good one, that the Niners are showing a lot of interest in Keitrell Clark. So they're expecting him to go in right around the 4th round. Niners have 3 picks currently at the end of the 3rd round, those compensatory picks at the end of the 3rd round. So Keitrell Clark is an absolute player. He can play man, he can play zone. He's on time, man. He plays really, really hard. Really like him. He would be a nice replacement for Jimmy Ward if they could get Keitrell Clark. According to Tony Pauline, the Niners are one of the 4 or 5 teams showing a lot of interest in the Louisville corner, Keitrell Clark. So I'm doing a video on him tomorrow. Check that out. Hope you enjoy that. Also, I did a video today on the quarterbacks, not just the quarterbacks, but one quarterback in particular, who I think the 49ers are going, Max Duggan from TCU. And I did a deep dive yesterday looking at all the quarterbacks in the draft, including all the guys that are going after the 1st round. And the more I watch Max Duggan, the more I think that guy's going to be decent as an NFL player. I really kind of like him. And I could see the Niners kind of making him their 2023 version of Brock Purdy. In a lot of ways, very similar. Great college player who is being overlooked despite the fact he had an incredible collegiate career. I mean, this guy, and I'll say what I love the most about him is that this year they handed the starting job to Chandler Morris, who was an Oklahoma transfer at TCU. He got hurt in that first game. And, eventually Duggan came in for him in that game and and led them to victory, and then led them to a 12-1 mark. He was the runner-up for the Heisman and led his TCU Horned Frogs into the national championship game. But what I'll say is that unlike a lot of guys who would have, hey, I didn't have the job, I lost the job, I'm out of here, I'm going to go enter the transfer portal, I'm taking off. He said, no, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to battle it out. I'm going to be the best damn backup quarterback that Sonny Dykes ever had. He waited his turn. He didn't have to wait very long. The starter got hurt in the first game against Colorado. He came in, threw a couple touchdown passes, and did not look back, and wound up having an incredible year. It's one of the great stories in college football this year. So I like Max Duggan, and the more I watch him, the more I think he could be a Niner on day 3. MF, late in the chat, says, will the Giants be at 500 by the end of the month? Ooh, MF, I'll say no. I don't know, though. I mean, can they hit? Can they not hit? They looked like they could hit the other day against the Chi Sox. We'll find out tomorrow against Dylan Cease how real that really was, or was that fool's gold? Anyway, tomorrow on the channel, let's check out what we got going tomorrow. We got a busy week on the channel, and we've had some changes to the schedule because guys had to move around, and we've had a bunch of different schedules this week. Here's what we got going on the channel tomorrow. Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, Wayne Breezy is going to stop by at 2 p.m. Breezy will be on at 2. Damon Bruce will be on the channel tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. And then Vish Kumaran will stop by tomorrow night at 6:45. Giants play in the morning, late morning, around 11:10. So I'll be watching that into Breezy. But check me out with Wayne Breezy tomorrow at 2. Check me out at 5 with Damon. And check me out with Vish Kumaran. All these, that'll be, the Vish one will be on Vish's channel. But Wayne will be on our channel. Damon will be on our channel. And then Thursday, Jesse Naylor is supposed to stop by at 6 o'clock. And maybe Vish will stop by. We might move that to Friday since we like to, spread out our hits between, more than one day. And then Friday is opening day. Giants against the Royals for the home opener. And Ned Colletti is going to join me in the postgame. So I'm really eager to talk to Ned. Giants and Royals all weekend long. And Warriors go with the Warriors play Friday night. I have invited Carmichael Dave on from KHTK to join me Friday night. I haven't heard back from him, but hopefully he'll join us. If not, we'll catch up with him down the road. And then Sunday, Giants Royals in the daytime, and then Warriors Blazers also at 12:30. We'll probably go live late Sunday afternoon, right around 4 o'clock. Kind of a combo. Warrior playoff preview, end of the year recap, Giant Royals series recap. So that's what we have going on the channel for the rest of the week. Hope you're enjoying the content. Val Ramos says, great show, Larry. Like always. Dan Coach Emilio says, yeah, plenty of tickets are available for the home opener. Yeah, the Giants are having a hard time selling tickets. I put out a tweet today. My son went to the A's Guardians game last night. He took a picture and sent it to me in the 4th inning. I swear to you, it looked like there was 800 people there. Like, if that. I mean, it was just nobody at A's Guardians. Really, really sad. MF says, going crazy on the patio with John Lund and Papa on Friday. Yep, should be fun. Should be a fun time out there for the boys, I am sure. And we will leave you with Chardal, who says, light the beam. All right. On that note, have a great night, everybody. Peace. And thanks for supporting The Krueger Show on YouTube.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah.